All right, is recording to the cloud. And let me share my screen with everybody so that you will see.
Perfect.
Don't say that yet.
Ah,
Okay, there we go. Can
perfect.
everybody see that full page?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Cool.
All right,
You
Diana.
might have.
Yes.
So the menu bar is right across the middle of my screen.
You can just move it up. You mean the faces?
No, not the faces. The one that says mute, stop video, security, participants, share new. Oh, I see it now. I can move it down. All right, I got it. I couldn't see that before. Perfect. Great. Okay, excellent. Terrific. All right. So we currently have 8 participants. And if everybody would be kind enough to show your faces if you're behind a laptop or an iPad. If you're on the phone, that's fine. But it's great if everybody can see each other. Steve, if you're there, if I could see your lovely face this morning. Or Steve, are you in a doctor's office? Are you very, very organized?
I'm here. I'm just printing some stuff.
All right. It just looks like that. It looks like my doctor's office with all those file folders.
What exam will you be giving me today? I can put on my scrubs now.
Okay, we'll get right into class then. So my name is Dennis McDonald, and I've been with Keller Williams Showcase Properties in Braintree for, it'll be going on 3 years this September. And one of the things that I want to share with everybody is that this class in particular, I teach, and I've only been with them for 2 years, basically. So one of the things that helped me learn about the real estate business is that I actually took Ignite twice. I took it once, and I was so overwhelmed, I really didn't even know what I was doing. So I decided that when they ran it again, I took it in Norwell at the time, and then it was Hanover then, but Norwell now, and then I took it again in Braintree. And the second time I took Ignite is when it all clicked for me. It was like, it was just like watching a movie for the second time. You catch a lot more the second time around. And for me, that's what really propelled my career, is when I did everything that Ignite said to do. And then it really, really did help. So let me just give you a little background of who I am and what I do. Well, you know what I do. I'm a full-time real estate agent, and the way I introduce myself to clients, and I'll share this for you, to everybody at no charge, is, and Mark is one of my mentorees, and he's heard this from me many times, but I don't say that I'm a real estate agent or I'm a realtor. What I tell people is that I have my own real estate business through Keller Williams. That's an important part, because you want to identify the broker. You don't want to pretend to be a broker yourself. So what I tell people is that I have my own real estate business through Keller Williams. And I think that separates me from some other real estate agents that are out there, because when I've been introduced, or when I have the opportunity to introduce myself that way, they look at me as an owner of a company. And guess what? You are an owner of the company. You own your own company. You don't get a W-2. You don't get taxes taken out. You have to pay your own expenses. You have to pay your own health care. So you have your own business. But it's very important that you indicate that you are through Keller Williams, because that's who your brokerage is. But you will separate yourself, because as soon as you say, hey, I'm a real estate agent, or I sell real estate, or I'm a realtor, oh yeah, my sister-in-law does that, my brother-in-law does that, my kid's teacher does that. But when you say you have your own real estate business, it sounds a little different, doesn't it? Give me a thumbs up or an amen, everybody.
That's his real doctor's number.
All right. Great. So,
Hello.
is everybody there? Marie?
This is their daughter. Who's calling?
Hello?
We're here.
Is somebody else on the call?
I think
Okay.
somebody hasn't unmuted or hasn't muted themselves.
Yeah, I think so. Can everybody mute themselves and then unmute yourself when you have a question or a concern? Feel free at any time to unmute yourself and ask a question. Okay, Marie, if you can turn your video on and unmute yourself, that would be great. All right. So I started my real estate business almost 3 years ago. I've had my real estate license for 26 years, but I really didn't go full-time into real estate for 2.5 years ago. I was, believe it or not, selling bird baths and pottery to all the independent garden centers coast to coast. And I did that for 28 years. And so I got on an airplane on a Monday, came home on a Thursday, and I was the vice president of sales for 2 pottery company importers. And I have not been on an airplane in almost 3 years, and I don't miss it one bit. So this is really a great career. It's what you make of it. You can create your own schedule. You can do your own thing. Believe me, it can be 24/7. And I think some of the people have told you that, you need to really time block your time. And if you don't time block your time, then what you'll be doing is you'll burn yourself out. So you have to take a day off during the week. Even though when you're starting out, you feel like you can't. You need to get in good habits. And one of the great habits to do is to take a specific day off. I don't suggest it's Saturday or a Friday when a lot of broker open houses and consumer open houses are going on, but someday during the week. I actually take Wednesdays off, and under normal circumstances, but I am teaching today. So I'll take a little bit of time off some other time, but I usually take Wednesdays off, and that's when I get all my automobile work done. That's when I get all my doctor's appointments done. That's when I have dinner with my 91-year-old mother. I do all my own personal things on that day off. And fortunately for me, I've got a spouse who's been, I've been married to for 35 years, who really, really is a big part of my real estate business. She really helps me not in the back end or anything, but she's very supportive in all that I do. So if I get a call on a Thursday night at 6 o'clock in the middle of dinner that I got to go show a house to somebody at 7 over in Walpole or wherever, she understands. She gets it. So there's a lot of things in the real estate business. It's just not all about you. Okay. But what is about you is that you're marketing yourself at all times. And one of the things that I tell people in the real estate business that are starting out, unmute yourself and answer this question. What is the most important purchase that you make when you first start out in the real estate business? Mark, you can't answer this question. Everybody, I'm the Mark's mentor, so he's already heard all these answers. So anybody else, Deb or whoever, tell me one of the first things, the most important thing that you purchase that you haven't already had.
Well, you purchase your license, but
After that, when you signed on with Keller Williams, what is the first thing that you purchased?
the coaching.
That's important, absolutely. What else? Anybody else have an answer there?
My business cards and my name tag and my website name.
Wait a minute, say that again. What was the first thing?
Business cards, my name tag, and my website.
You got it. Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding. Your name tag.
I love my name tag.
It is the most important part of marketing. I believe more than social media, more than your business cards, more than your website. I wear this badge everywhere that I go. Okay. I go into Market Basket and people ask me where the ground beef is. Okay. And I tell them, oh, sorry, I don't work at Market Basket. I have my own real estate business through Keller Williams. Do you know of anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? It's a great way to start a conversation with people. I wear it to the drive-through. I wear it to the dry cleaners. I wear it everywhere. I wear it to the chiropractors. And I'll tell you a story. I wore it so much that my relatives always saw it on me. And I went to a graduation party pre-COVID last year. And my sister over in Abington was having a party for my niece. And she said, Dennis, you're not wearing your badge? And I said, no, I'm not going to wear it to the party. Come on, that's a little overkill. She goes, oh, that's too bad because my niece's boyfriend's parents are here and they're interested in buying a house. And I said, oh, really? I said, well, I'll tell you what, where are they? And point them out to me. And she goes, oh, they're down by the fire pit. So I went down, introduced myself. I said, how you doing? I'm Lauren's Uncle Dennis. Da, da, da. Oh, you're the real estate guy? I said, yeah. Oh, they've been talking about you, this and that. And I said, okay, great. You know, this isn't really the place to talk real estate. I said, but I tell you what, why don't we make arrangements that we can maybe on Tuesday of this week, if you're available, I'll share my app with you, and we can make arrangements to meet at my office up in Braintree, and we can discuss your real estate needs. Oh, that'd be great. Well, lo and behold, in about 3 months later, they ended up buying a place in West Bridgewater. So this is your best calling card. It really is. And if you're a little adventurous, okay, you might even want to put it upside down sometimes. If you haven't been getting a lot of questions on it, and walk into the store and they say, oh my goodness, your badge is upside down. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Oh my gosh. Isn't that awful being a real estate agent and having something like that happen? Oh, thank you so much for pointing that out. Do you know of anybody looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate? You never know who you're going to talk to, but talk to everybody. But most of all, don't be what I call a secret agent, okay? A secret real estate agent is somebody that nobody knows is a real estate agent except you. So let everybody know that you're a real estate agent. Everybody knows when there's a police officer around because they have a badge on, okay? Let everybody know you're in the real estate business. All right, enough of that. Any questions on anything I talked about so far? Take Ignite twice if you didn't get it the first time. Don't be embarrassed that you didn't get it the first time. And jump into these classes at any time if there are certain classes that you don't recall or you don't remember certain things. These are open to everybody and they're free of charge. Okay. So this here is called Close the Deal, Ignite number 11, all right? I don't necessarily call it Close the Deal. Keller Williams does. I call it payday. It is payday. You don't get paid unless you close the deal, okay? The closings are very, very important. So like some of the other classes, I'm not going to go through all this, make you guys make phone calls, talk to you about your 10-4. If you guys have a question on any of that, unmute yourself and ask me questions on it. But my goal today is to get through as much material as I possibly can on Close the Deal in these 2 hours that we have, or 3 hours, and to be interactive as much as possible, okay? I don't want this to be a monologue. I really want this to be a dialogue. So anybody that's been already in the process of closing a deal, I know Mark has already closed a deal. I know Steve has closed deals in before. Feel free to add any of your experiences, okay? So, but we're gonna get right into it. Does anybody have any questions of the past class that they just learned from Lisa that maybe I can help you with? Okay. So let's get started. Okay. Again, we're not going to go through all this here about the contacts, note cards, laptop tab. You guys have been through all this practicing scripts. These are very, 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 very important things, but I don't want to really take the time now to do that because I really have a lot to cover. Contractor close interviews, the best tips and ahas. This is what we're all going to talk about today. Be sure that you do add 10 new contacts to your database every day. Speak to 10 people in your database every day. Write those 10 thank you notes and preview 10 homes. It's more difficult to preview 10 homes now than it's ever before because of COVID. But if you can get to some open houses, some public open houses where you don't have to make appointments, do so. Or if you know of any other Keller Williams agents that are having open houses, and you can easily do that through MLS, identify those people, go to their open houses and tell them you're in an Ignite class and you just need to preview a bunch of homes, okay? We all want to work with you on this. We all want to make you successful. Okay.
Oh,
Yep. Somebody have a question? All right. So here's really what we're going to be doing, okay? We want to close on time. So it's very important when you put in the purchase and sale agreement or even the offer that you give yourself enough time to close, okay? But you want to close on time because, again, that's payday for you, but it's also going to appease your buyer and also your seller if you're on the seller side, okay? You want a smooth process. Now, to make it a smooth process, what you have to realize is forget what I told you before about having your own real estate business through Keller Williams. And now your title on your business card may say real estate executive, real estate agent, real estate superior, whatever you want it to call. The reality is that you're a project manager, okay? So you need to put your project manager hat on. From the time that you start showing houses or listing a house to the time of the closing, you have to manage that project from beginning to end. Does anybody not know what a project manager is? Okay. And then if you manage that project successfully and you get paid, you will win future business, okay, by asking for referrals. And we'll talk about that toward the end, okay? So how will you ensure these outcomes? Listen to me for the next 3 hours, but also, again, feel free to interject. This is not a monologue. I really do want participation. And if you don't participate, I may actually call on you. And nobody really likes that. But so feel free to participate, okay? So on the screen it says, and if you read some of the work prior, the first part of the real estate transaction process is the hard focused work of making connections and achieving agreements. The second part is the wide-eyed, vigilant guardianship of the transaction until it makes it to the closing. So again, in theory, that's a great definition to being a project manager. You need to make sure you bring this to the closing, okay? And that includes if the listing agent, if you're working for the buyer and the listing agent can't make it to the appraisal, then you meet the appraiser there. If you're on the listing side and for whatever reason, there's something that needs to be done for the buyer and the buyer's agent can't be there, then you be there. Offer your services, help out wherever you can. I've been to the smoke detector tests for listing agents for FSBOs that couldn't be there. I don't care. I'm looking out for the best interest of my client. That's what we ultimately want to be doing, is looking out for the best interest of the client, okay? Because that's going to get you the referrals, and it's also going to get you paid to make sure the process goes smoothly. So it's important that you know the process, okay? Does anybody here have any question on what they've learned so far in the process? You need to be organized, okay, with systems in place. There's checklists and schedules and forms. Mark, I know that I've given you some checklists. Take yourself off mute for a second. Where did you find those checklists, Mark? Did I supply them to you, or where did you find them?
I think you pointed me to Dot Loop with there's like a closing checklist, a pre-offer checklist, a listing checklist, or a seller's paperwork checklist. It's been pretty helpful, definitely.
You can find that
really easy.
You can find that all in Dot Loop, all in Dot Loop, and along with all the information that you need is in Dot Loop. But if you don't have a mentor right now and you feel that you need one, or you're in the process of getting one, make sure that that mentor guides you into where you can find things. Because if you can't reach out to your mentor, if they're at a birthday party or a bar mitzvah or a wedding or a funeral and you can't reach them and you need some information, you need to find the source of that information. So it's important for me that I just didn't supply Mark with that information, but I pointed him to the source. And then we actually, because of Zoom, we actually went through it together on a screen share like this. And it was terrific, I thought. Mark can decide otherwise.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just so much easier and so much better to be able to do it, and we can work side by side. And we're actually working on a he's already got a potential listing coming up, and we're going to be working on the MLS when he gets that listing to put that in the MLS. So we'll do that together as well. So it's important to have somebody that can help you out in that. Okay. Be knowledgeable of all the steps involved and the potential pitfalls to avoid. Okay. You're going to learn that in time. You're not going to know that right away. You're going to learn that by mistake. Okay. And you will make mistakes. And if you're afraid of making mistakes, you shouldn't be in this business, because you will make mistakes. Okay. But we can probably back up and fix almost every single mistake you made. But it's important that if you don't know the answer, don't BS anybody. Come to somebody who can help you, okay? And that includes me. If your mentor is not available, or anybody in the office isn't available, you have my information, okay? And if you don't have my information, I'll be happy to put it in the text box and get it to you if you want, okay? But it's real simple. It's dennismcdonald@kw.com, and my cell number is 781-929-6342. And I'm available to any questions you guys have that has to do with real estate. I love talking and doing real estate. The other important thing is come from contribution, okay? Have a mindset of winning for your clients. It's really, really important that they have confidence in you, because this is the most expensive transaction that they'll have. And they're counting on you. I actually, at the closings, I thank everybody for trusting me in this transaction. I really do. And I mean that sincerely, because they are trusting you. They're trusting you with a huge deposit to make sure that you make sure all the guidelines are met and the timing is perfect, so they don't lose their deposit. But most of all, you know, you're building a relationship and rapport with these people. And again, ultimately, our business is built on referrals. So you need to get referrals from these people, and don't be afraid to ask them. We'll talk about that later. Okay. Over communicate. I know that's a buzzword that a lot of people use, but in this, more than ever, you over communicate. You over communicate with the listing agent or the buyer's agent. You over communicate with the attorneys. You over communicate with the loan officer and the underwriters. You over communicate with everybody, include everybody in the loop. The worst thing someone can say is, hey, take me off this email because I'm not involved in this process anymore. Okay, no problem. Okay, but it's better you include everybody than forget to include somebody. Okay, but just be careful that when you do that, people can read the whole thread of all your emails. So if I wrote something about Mark earlier in the email and I didn't realize it and I forwarded it to everybody and I included Mark later, Mark's going to be able to read that thing I said about him. Okay, so just be careful when you over communicate, but it's to your benefit to over communicate. Okay, and again, you're going to ask for referrals and testimonials, and I'm going to help you do that at the end. Okay.
All right.
Oh, go ahead. Question?
Sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead. No, okay. But what you want to do is leave a lasting impression, and the right kind of lasting impression. Everybody's going to leave an impression, whether it's a good impression or a bad impression. You obviously want to leave a good impression, okay? And what you may want to ask them at the end is to possibly fill out some kind of survey asking you what it would take for me to do a better job. A lot of people are afraid to answer that question, but if you ask that openly and honestly to people, they'll be willing to share with you that, hey, you know, Dennis, you promised that you'd be available from 7 to 7 every day. And I know I tried calling you several times and you weren't available. Well, you know something, that's something I need to work on, or I can't make that promise or commitment. Okay. So those are things that you'll learn through the whole process, but apologize for that and then do better. Okay. Be on top of your game. Don't wing it. The worst thing you can do is wing it. All right. The best thing you could say is, you know something, I'm not quite sure, but let me get back to you on that. People are more than willing to hear that. Let me get back to you on that. Okay. And ultimately you can see, you finish all that and you're going to get paid. So this is the flow chart. Okay. This is what happens. This is what allows you to get paid. When you start with an offer and the offer is rejected, guess what? You don't get paid. The offer is put in place and there's a counteroffer, and then the offer is accepted, then you go to inspection, or better yet, you make an offer, it's accepted, and then you go to inspection. You go to inspection, and then you have a inspection reply or a rejection, or everything went great at the inspection and it's accepted, and then you go toward the closing. So now you make sure you fill out the purchase and sale agreement and get everything going, and now the attorneys take place, okay? So the loan is underwritten, the loan is funded. If something changes, people lose their job or issues happen, then it's rejected, and guess what happens? You don't get paid, okay? So you want to try to make these things happen. So that's why you over communicate with these people. Don't feel like you're bothering people. And if you've never had a conversation with a loan officer or an underwriter, you are not bothering them. They're used to hearing from real estate agents, okay? Just because you haven't had a communication with them doesn't mean that you're not supposed to, okay? Reach out to them, ask them questions. One thing you want to realize is that mortgage people in particular want to do a great job for you because they want your referral business, okay? So they're going to bend over backwards to make sure everything goes well. Maybe not so much on the underwriting part or the loan processing part, but definitely the loan officer definitely wants to build a rapport and relationship with you. And if they know that they're, like Radius Financial does a really great job, and because they do a great job, we refer a lot of business to them because we know that they are on the ball, and they'll make everything happen not to get this rejection, because guess what? They don't get paid if it doesn't go to the closing. The real estate attorneys don't get paid if it doesn't go to the closing. Everybody gets paid when it goes to the closing. Okay, so everybody has a lot to lose if everything doesn't happen. Okay, but that doesn't mean they always do their job. So that sometimes you have to do their job for them, or at least keep them accountable to do their job. Okay, and then 3 days before the closing, there's something called a closing disclosure. Okay, and that closing disclosure, it's mandatory through TRID. Okay, if you haven't learned about TRID, that's a whole separate class, but you may want to write that down and look that up and what that is. Okay, but that's if you have a buyer that's closing, and I actually have one closing on Tuesday, so by Friday, they have to have their final closing documents signed off by law to conform to TRID. If you're the listing agent and you find out that they didn't get their closing documents by Friday, and I'm not the listing agent, I'm working for the buyer side, but say I was, then you know that you're not going to be closing on the 30th. There's going to be delay in closing because they never got their TRID documents. Okay, but then they usually do, and everybody's happy, and then you go to the closing. Okay, and the closing nowadays, you may not be able to attend the closing, and I think that's okay. If that changes, I used to go to every single closing, whether I was a listing agent or the buyer's agent, because I wanted to see the process. I wanted to see what happened, okay? And again, I wanted to make sure everybody was happy and manage this process right to the end, okay? And then after the closing, the funds are transferred, there's a legal recording, and then the owner now has permission to enter the property after the legal transfer of title at the Registry of Deeds, okay? Any questions on that process? Did I miss anything?
I have a question. One thing I wasn't sure on is like, who is owner of like the commission statements when you're doing the closing? Because I had like my lawyer, my buyer's attorney reaching out to me for it, the seller's attorney, and then the seller's agent. And I'm like, I don't actually know who is responsible. So I was just sent it to all, and I'm like, should have called my mentor to confirm.
Yep,
but
okay. No, that's fine. You can send it to all of them. Here's how it works. Basically, if you're the listing agent, you are holding the funds that are paying you are holding the funds to pay the other agent the co-broke commission. So it's your responsibility to get the invoice from the co-broke, okay, the buyer's agent. And you are to make sure that that gets to the closing attorneys as well as the seller's attorney, because that information all has to be in in what we used to call a HUD, which is now closing documents. So your commission statement is disclosed in there. Okay. So as a listing agent, you need to give that information to everybody. They don't always do that. So what you need to do is, and this is what I do for a rule of thumb, once I get a property that's under agreement, which means it's a signed purchase and sale agreement, that's when I take into .loop and I put a green sheet together. Okay, we're going a little off track here, but I'm just going to tell you my process. So once I get the P&S signed here, it's accepted. I go into .loop. I tell everybody that, look, we got a closing date of July 30th, and I'm going to start my green sheet. Okay, when I start my green sheet is when I fill out my commission statement, and I just keep it in .loop. And then maybe a week later, after I hear about the appraisal, which is about a week to 10 days later, once I hear that the appraisal went fine, if there's an appraisal, then I will forward my commission statement to, because by then you know all the attorneys, you know the listing agent's information, you know everybody's information. You don't have to send it to the mortgage person. All you need to do is send it to the 2 attorneys and the other agent. And I send it all to them through .loop. And sometimes you get back, oh, I never got it, whatever. Okay, fine, I'll send it to you again, not a problem. And some days, 5 days before the closing, they're doing the closing documents. They forgot that you sent it to them 3 weeks ago, and you got to resend it. Not a problem, okay? But make sure that you send it, okay? At least that's what I do. Okay. All right, I got a question here on the group chat here. Where can I get the full Ignite workbook? You can actually go to KW University and you can get that there, Christian, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. If you have, do you have video available, Christian? Can we see you?
I'm actually on the road.
Don't worry about it. Not a worry, not a problem, okay? Great, but great question. Yeah, you can find that on KW University. And if you can't, for whatever reason, talk to your mentor or talk to your team leader or Donna Frano, and she can make arrangements to get that link to you. But it's all available to you. It's all there. The same book, the same deck that I have is there, okay? And if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to text them if you're not comfortable talking about it, or you feel like, hey, you know, something, it's a dumb question. I'll tell you right now that the only stupid question is a question that you don't ask, because there's somebody else thinking about that same question. All right, so ask away. And you can always, oh, look at Marie. Look at you, way to go. She already gave you the link right there, Christian. So there's your link. I love that. That's awesome. Thank you, Marie, for your help. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's what I love about Keller Williams agents. We're all so helpful. All right. So any questions on the offer? The acceptance? A counteroffer? Does anybody have any questions on the counteroffer? A rejection? Okay, I'm gonna interject something here, okay? So I just recently sold a home in Marshfield to somebody who we closed at the end of May. And we put an offer on this house back in February. We didn't get the house because it was multiple offers, and we thought we were in a good position to do it, but they took somebody else's offer that could do a quicker close. Well, come to find, so I talked to the listing agent and I told her, I said, look, we'll keep our offer and as a backup offer until such time as if, you know, call me, make me the first right of refusal if something happens. Very rarely does it happen, but it does. And all of a sudden, guess what happened? March 15th or 16th, 17th or 18th, COVID happened. And they were supposed to close at the end of March, okay? Well, the person unfortunately lost their job. They couldn't get financing. So the listing agent calls me back immediately sometime in April and says, so Dennis, are your clients still looking to buy our house, or did they find another place? And I said, no, as a matter of fact, I think they might be interested. Let me reach out to them and find out. Do you still need a quick close? And she said, well, that kind of bit me in the butt last time. So we'll, see what you can do. I said, okay, great. So I call my client and my client says, yes, we're interested in that house, but I'm not interested in paying the amount that I was going to pay back in February. I want to redo the offer, Dennis. I said, fine, let's redo the offer. So sure enough, we go. We know we're in a better bargaining position because this person has now been 45 days with the house off the market. We also know that they wanted a quick close. I don't know why. Ironically, the listing agent was also the owner of the house. So she did disclose certain things to me. Actually, her husband disclosed certain things to me when I was there for a meeting earlier. And so I did have some inside information that I could choose to share with my clients because I'm working on the best interests of my clients. And loose lips sink ships sometimes. So I found out some information and I used it to our advantage. And we actually bought the house a lot cheaper than we originally planned. And we did do a quick close, which they were very excited about. So the reason I say the counteroffer and the rejection, don't get disappointed in that. If you have the opportunity to leave that offer in place, okay, you don't have any money at stake because you didn't hand over a check because the offer was never accepted. You may get a call back if the financing falls through, the appraisal falls through, the home inspection falls through, something of that nature, okay? So a rejection is not always a bad thing. You could use it to your advantage. So we end up closing on the house and my clients are happy. The listing agent, who happens to be the seller, was very happy because they went and bought another house in Marshfield. So it all worked out great. It really did. So, okay. So
May I ask a question?
Absolutely, Deb, sure.
So on the right of first refusal, was that open-ended? Or did you do like an addendum to the offer or separate agreement?
Absolutely open-ended.
So it would have been up to you to cancel that if your buyer had found another house?
No.
No, because you had the option of the right of first refusal.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So they were just coming to me as a courtesy,
right,
more than anything else, but I told them to leave my offer as a backup offer. So my offer was rejected, or my client's offer was rejected. But what I did was I said, we'll leave our offer in there. So she knew what our offer was for. She knew everything was in place, but she didn't know it was still current because she thought, who knows, maybe you already bought another house or had another offer pending.
Right. Okay.
Because there was no money transferred, there was no check given, because the offer was never accepted. So there was no risk on my client's behalf, and I was just the first person that she called, reached out to. It worked out great because my clients really wanted that house.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you got it. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody else have any questions on that? Okay. So let's go on. So a success tip for everybody throughout the entire contract to close process: follow up regularly. Again, over communicate with the closing title escrow company, okay, which is basically the closing attorney, okay, and the financial institution and the loan officer, to be sure everything is progressing on schedule, okay? Because if it's not, and you need to ask for extensions, there's where the extension is going to happen, okay? Is through the attorneys, not necessarily through you at this point.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead, Teresa.
Do both agents ask, or the one who is has the buyers?
Give me an example, and I'll work, and we'll role play that.
So if I'm selling a house and somebody else has another agent has the buyer, should she be checking to see if their finance is going through, or should I?
You should, as a listing agent, you can call the loan officer and say, hey, how's that going? Everything in process? Everything going well? Because you can reach out to both the buyer's agent. You don't reach out to the buyers. You reach out to the buyer's agent, and you reach out to the loan officer and say, hey, is everything going on? Everything fine? Everything got in place? Are we going to get our commitment letter as anticipated? 10 days before the closing or 14 days before the closing or whatever the PNS says. And then at that time they can tell you. So I'll give you an example. I've got a client that's closing on the 30th. They were supposed to have a commitment letter to the listing they were supposed to have a commitment letter on the 15th of June. They're closing on the 30th. Normally it would be on the 22nd, I would say, but they asked in the offer to give us an earlier commitment letter, and we obliged. We said, fine. Well, it's a USDA loan. So it's a government loan. Things are all delayed. So I knew on the 12th, I had on the 11th in my calendar to ask about the commitment letter for the 15th. So I reached out to everybody. Hey, how do we look for the commitment letter? I did not put the listing agent on there. I was just asking my client's loan officer and the attorney, my attorney or their attorney, to see where we stand. And sure enough, come the 12th, I get a reply, hey, it doesn't look like USDA is going to give us approval just yet because they're delayed. So the attorney jumps in and says, well, maybe we should ask for an extension. So with that, he reached out to the seller's attorney and asked for a 7-day extension till the 22nd, which was this past Monday. Well, USDA still has not given us everything that we need, and we can't give they've got the approval from the loan company. Everything's fine. The loan is funded, but USDA needs to back the loan. And so now we have the extension until the 26th that the attorneys worked out. Now the listing agent's involved in all this, okay? And now the sellers has to approve this. Most cases, the seller is going to say yes, because another 7 days, what are they going to do? Take it off the market, remarket it again, wait another 60 days? As I know, she's moving out on the 30th. She's got everything all set because we thought we were going to do an early close, and come to find out USDA has been dragging their feet for whatever. And I have on my agenda today to send another email. Hey, where do we stand with the commitment letter? Because here it is on the 24th, and we have an extension for the commitment letter to the 26th, and we're closing on the 30th, meaning we have to have for TRID, we have to have the closing documents signed on the 26th. So I'm going to do a follow-up on that today, but that's in my Google Calendar. So, but whoever's involved in the process can always ask those questions. Does that answer your question, Teresa?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have any questions on that? That was a great question. Okay, so the next success tip is both agents should attend the closing, of course, and we're in different situations now, okay, to be a resource to their clients and to be sure items such as keys, security codes, garage door openers, etc., providing access, security, and the use of the property are turned over to the buyer. It is also a chance to thank your client and ask for referrals, okay? And that includes asking the attorneys for referrals, okay? And ask your loan officers for referrals, not just your clients. If they see you do a really good job, okay, and you've got a reputation of being a really, really, really good manager of the process, okay, then they're going to feel comfortable giving you referrals. And I've gotten some from some of my partners in the loan business. So, you know, just make yourself known, make yourself visible to everybody and anybody. Okay. So prior to COVID, I would attend all the closings, and I'm glad I did for one of them because I had sold a home in Whitman 2 years ago, and the buyers were my clients, but the listing agent didn't even show up. She was having a hard time with her client because I'm a really good negotiator, and I know that gave her a little bit of agita, but that's okay because I'm working on the best interest of my client, not her client. That's her job. In any case, there was an issue with them, and she said, I'm not even going to the closing. I'm having such a hard time with him. I said, okay, whatever, I'll be there. And I'm glad I did because he had his attorney there going through every bit of paperwork. It was the longest closing I ever went to. But at the same time, my clients are there, and my clients are now focused on the closing attorney going through all their paperwork when there was nothing happening for the seller. I just turned to him and had a conversation about the Bruins, the Patriots. What do you think about this? I was just deflecting him from anything he might have heard from the closing attorney that may have turned him off and could have sabotaged the deal for whatever reason. So I became friends with this guy for the short period of time of doing the closing. And actually it all worked out well, because at the end, he ended up giving my clients his number and saying, hey, if you have any questions on the garage door openers or the security system or the surround sound system or anything, man, feel free, give me a call. You know, I'll be happy to help you out. Where before that, he was he was trouble. But so, you know, you can be a resource and don't be shy about reaching out to them. And who knows, he's maybe upset, and he was upset with his listing agent, and he may have other properties to sell, or maybe now I'll get a referral from him someday and not her, because they had a falling out. You just never know. Okay. But if you're not there, then you can't be a resource. Okay. And again, times are different now, but when things change, and they will, be there if you can. It's worth it. It really is. Okay. It really shows you care. Okay. Any questions on that? Great. Closing checklists.
I have one question. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, please. This is what it's for. Don't ask away. Okay.
Are closings getting back to normal? Because I heard my sister had just closed on a place, and it was like kind of a drive-by thing.
The closing was a drive-by?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had closings where I have not been to attending the closings, but my clients had gone, and the buyers have to still wet sign the documents, and the sellers don't have to be at the closing. They can sign the deed and do the documents prior, a couple of days prior. But the buyers, I believe, still need to wet sign, which is an ink signature with a blue pen on their documents, and they have to be stamped with the attorney's oh, I'm drawing a blank on the word, notarized. Mm-hmm. So right now there is a thing in the process, okay, remote notarization, okay. It's called remote online notarization, called RON, that I know that some of the title companies are trying to get pushed through. But as far as I know, the real estate agents still need, the closing attorneys still need to have the buyers present to sign so they can notarize that. Now, maybe that's with the part of the drive-by. Maybe they're doing a lot of stuff electronically, and then they need these 6 documents ink signed, and they can do it from a parking lot, hand them the paperwork and make sure that it was signed, and then they can stamp it. I haven't experienced that.
Okay, but you think things are starting to get back to normal, going to?
I think so. I mean, the registry of deeds, they can all pretty much record that electronically, so you don't necessarily have to do that at the registry of deeds anymore. But they should be still either going to the attorney's office or the attorney's coming to them. Or we can do them in our office too. We can host them in our office now that our office is open too. Okay. But again, I don't recommend you be there for it, because they want the limited amount of people as possible, because you are closer than 6 feet in most cases. But the attorney's offices are the ones that are used to doing this. And usually what happens is they give them a blue pen and let them keep it through the whole thing, and let them pocket the blue pen, because they don't want the pen back and have to sterilize it and do all those things. Okay. If anybody hears anything different, let me know. Okay. The buyer's agent contract to close checklist. Okay. That is actually, it's not here, but it's in your information. It's a great checklist. I have highlighted some of the things that I think are most important. Okay. Some of the most important things, so this is on the buyer's agent side, okay? And I do 50-50. I do half my business is buyer's agents, half my business is listings. So I need both of these checklists. So some of the tasks, the first task is submit the contract and earnest money to the, it says title escrow company. In our situation here in Massachusetts, we submit the offers and the earnest money to the listing agent. okay? And that who holds the escrow, but only once the offer is accepted. So you hold the check, you take a picture of the check, making sure that you blot out, or what I do is on the bottom of the check, a pen usually covers the routing number and the account number for the client. I put that pen, then I take a picture of it and then put it into my dot loop to cover up those numbers, because that's very important. You don't want those numbers going around through the internet, because those are numbers that can easily, people can tap into, and who knows about the deep dark web and all that stuff. But so you want to make sure, that's our policy, is to cover up those numbers at all times. Or you can use a little sticky note, okay, to cover it up, anything to cover it up, your business card, whatever. But I found that a pen, like one of these little Bic stick pens, will cover up all the numbers necessary. And then once the offer is accepted, then you got to deliver the actual check, that $1,000 earnest money deposit check, to the listing agent. So that's very important, okay? Because if you don't do that, if that check is not in hand, they can still take another offer or accept another offer. So it's very important. So if they say, hey, you know something, you can wait till the, you know, some listing agents are very lazy. Yeah, I'm not going to be in the office. Don't worry about it. Nobody's in the office. Why don't you just hold on to it until the home inspection? After the home inspection, then you can give it to me. No, don't do that. Because if someone comes in and that person's at a cookout, a 4th of July cookout, and says, oh, I just sold my house. Oh, really? I didn't know your house was for sale. Oh, yeah. What did you sell it for? I sold it for $349,000. Oh, man, I would have gave you $375 for that. Oh, really? Oh, let me call my agent. Hey, can we still accept an offer from my house? Well, I don't have the earnest money deposit check, so I guess, yeah, technically you can. So without that check binds the offer, okay? It's very important that you take that check, that you take the check to drop off the check. And Mark, I'm going to use him as an example. Mark, where did you have to go to drop off your check for a house that was for sale in Abington? Or right?
Franktown. Franklin, yeah.
Franklin. So
it was worth it though, because yeah, like she immediately took it right off of MLS after that, you know, and I was going to put it in the mail, which would have been, you know, 3 to 4 days by the time she gets it, because she doesn't work out of that office, or I don't know. That was a really good call.
That's part of your job. You got to get that check.
Yeah, they got it 20 grand under asking. And yeah, you're right. We probably would have had another offer if we waited that couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
So Dennis, sorry, this is Lainey.
Yes,
So
Lainey.
for the earnest money, so taking a photograph of the check and sending it to the agent, you know, does that sort of tide things over until you hand deliver it, or you always hand deliver it to the seller's agent?
So when you're putting in an offer, you take a picture of that check and include that in the offer, because you wanted to show that you have a check made out to that listing agent, brokerage. Okay, not to the agent, but to the brokerage, and then that's the exact same check you are to hand over. Lainey, your microphone is kind of staticky.
I guess that happens every class.
No, that's okay. That's all right. I'm just gonna ask you to mute yourself, but unmute yourself whenever you have a question. Okay, feel free. We can tolerate that. That's not a problem. I just wanted to let you know. So if you could mute yourself after you ask the question, that'd be great. So yeah, so you take a picture of that check, you include that in the offer, saying, look, we have a check here, and then once the offer is accepted, okay, and if it's accepted at 7 o'clock at night, and it's somebody in your town, meet up with them at 8 o'clock at Dunkin' Donuts or whatever, and ask them to, you know, let me hand you the check. If they say, no, I'll wait till the morning, then say, okay, well, I don't want you to accept any, Dennis, you have my word, I won't accept any other offers. If they say that to you and they're a realtor, okay, and they work under the ethics of realtors, then they probably won't. But you don't wait more than 24 hours to get them that check to their brokerage, okay? And if they're not available, you bring it to the brokerage office, okay? Very, very, very important. That binds the offer, okay? So the next part of the buyer's agent contract to close checklist, I'm not going to go through them all, but I'm going to go through the ones that I'm going to highlight. So is schedule the home inspection, okay, right away, okay? And with that, if you use a home inspector that does a wood boring pest inspection, that's great too, which is like a termite inspection or even a rodent inspection, whatever. We have several different home inspectors that we use in the Braintree office. They're all available. They all have cards and information there. Reach out to your fellow real estate agents who's had success with some of them. I always give my clients at least 3 choices of home inspectors, and I ask them, don't take the one that's the cheapest, take the one that can do it the quickest. Because the quicker you can get your home inspection done, the more time you have to, 1, negotiate if there's an issue, and 2, get other contractors in if it needs a roof, or if it needs a deck, or if it needs electrical or plumbing issues. You can have a contractor come in, hopefully, and give you a quote so you can renegotiate the price if necessary, okay? One thing to keep in mind, that all properties in Massachusetts are sold as is, as seen, so they don't have to renegotiate the price. Okay, a lot of times they will, but they don't have to. And it's important for you to tell your buyer that if they put an offer in and they got the offer accepted at $500,000 and they find that it needs $50,000 worth of repairs and they agreed to negotiate the price down $50,000, that's $50,000 off their loan. Okay, so now they're only going to need a loan for $450,000. They're still not going to be able to get a loan for $500,000 and pocket 50 grand and do those repairs. Okay, very important. I had some clients, first-time home buyers, that, shame on me, I didn't explain that to them properly. I got them an $8,000 reduction in the price due to some home inspection issues. They thought they could still get the loan for the value that they were pre-approved for. Well, no, the loan company is not going to give you a loan for more than what you paid for the house. Okay, that may make common sense to you or me, but it didn't make it to them. And they thought they were going to have that $8,000 to do the repairs. And I said, no, that's not how it works. So I apologized to them and said, sorry, I misled you or made you think that. That's not the case. You just got the house $8,000 less. And over the course of 30 years, that's probably equates to about $40,000 or more in your lifetime of spending. But you know, after you close on the property, take out a loan and get those things repaired or put them on your credit card, okay? Because you really did save more than $8,000 when you expand that over 30 years. So be sure to explain that to them. When you do a reduction in price, that's the price they're paying for the home, but they're not going to get a loan for that amount and utilize that, okay? Is everybody clear on that? Because that kind of got me as one that was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. But I learned about it, and now I share that with everybody.
I have another question regarding that, sorry.
Yeah, go right ahead. No, Teresa, please, don't be sorry. You are here to ask the questions, okay? Don't anybody be sorry to ask a question. You are here to ask a question. I look forward to them.
So say that buyers offer 500 or whatever, and then they ask the seller for closing costs, to pay the closing costs.
Yep.
So the house is, say now, 475 or something. So
Yep.
can they still get the loan on the 500, or does it have to be on the 475, even though the house will still be listed as the 5?
Right. So in that circumstance, so what you did now is you didn't ask for a reduction in price. What you did is you asked for them to give you money for closing costs and prepaids.
Mm-hmm.
So odds are the closing costs are not going to exceed, I mean, depending on the amount of the house, but they're probably not going to exceed more than 2 or 3% of the cost of the house. So for instance, in a $500,000 house, closing costs probably are not going to be more than $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm just talking a conventional loan, not an FHA loan, not a VA loan or a USDA loan, because there's other options there. But just let's do a conventional loan that somebody put 20% down on. So they put $100,000 down. Okay. Now they're still going to have closing costs. Okay. So those closing costs consist of attorney's fees. Okay. Prepaid insurance, prepaid taxes, all these things that you can ask for a closing cost credit. Okay, so the client who's selling the house is getting their $500,000 for the house, less, let's say you asked for a $10,000 closing cost credit, less $10,000. So in theory, they're netting $490,000. The seller. The buyer, okay, in theory is buying it for 490, but is getting the loan for 500.
Okay.
Okay. So in those circumstances, but that's usually done. I mean, that's usually done at the time of the offer, but it can be done prior to P&S. It can, because you don't sign the purchase and sale till after the home inspection. So it's a great negotiating tool. If you say, look, just give us, then you know something, there's $20,000 worth of work that needs to be done. We're willing to split the difference. Give us $10,000 toward closing costs, because those are out-of-pocket costs that the buyer is going to have to spend, or they're going to roll them into the loan. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So it's a reduction in price in essence, but not really. So yeah, they can get the full amount of the loan, but they don't have those out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. No, that's a great question. Great question. Okay. So the next one I have highlighted is the walkthrough with the buyer. Okay. At the very least, if you have a closing at 10 in the morning, you go walk through that house at 8 in the morning. Okay. Because you want to do a final walkthrough. And there's a form in the MLS, whether you're the listing side or if you're the listing side, you definitely want that signed. If you're on the buyer side, you bring it and you want it signed too, just because you want to make sure that the buyers walk through the house and everything's in good shape, and that they're buying the house as is, as seen right there and then. Okay. Because sometimes you could walk through a house and there's garbage there. They removed the washer and dryer when the washer and dryer was part of the deal. There's all kinds of trash in the garage, or they haven't fully moved out. You know, now you have 2 hours before the closing where you call the attorney and say, look, we got some issues here. And the listing agent, you say, look, we got some issues here. Well, a good listing agent will be there at the final walkthrough. Okay. But not all do. You know, there's still 15 bags of clothes in the driveway and tons of trash, and the dumpster's gone. What am I supposed to do with this stuff? So either a good listing agent says, oh, I'll be over with a pickup truck. I'll get all that stuff out of there and make it happen. I'll see you at the closing. Or they say, oh, what do you want me to do? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to ask for $1,000 holdback until someone figures out what to do with this stuff. Or I'm going to go rent a truck at Home Depot and go drop it off at the local dump. Once I go get a dump sticker and all these other things, I got to spend time and money, and that's worth $1,000 to me. So either you make it happen, or we're going to hold back $1,000 until you do make it happen, and you'll have 72 hours to make it happen. So, you know, those are the type of things where you have to be looking out for the best interest of your client. A lot of clients will say, don't worry about it, Dennis, I can handle it, whatever. It's like, okay, if they can, don't be a martyr. Don't say, no, they should have had this done, whatever. If they're cool with it, you're cool with it. If not, then just have the attorneys draft up a holdback and say, look, we'll be happy to give you that $1,000 as soon as you remove the product and the items. But if these people moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they didn't realize that the movers left all that stuff behind, that's not your problem. Okay. So those are the things that you want to do the final walk. You want to make sure there's no leaks. You want to make sure, you know, if they took the washer and dryer, well, someone's got to come up with a washer and dryer. The part of the agreement in the purchase and sale agreement, it says washer and dryer is included. Well, the washer and dryer broke, so we decided to remove it. Okay, well, you need to replace it. Well, we didn't have time to replace it. Okay, well, it's going to cost $1,000 for me to replace that washer and dryer. I'm not going on Craigslist and buying a used washer and dryer. I'm going to go to George Washington Toma in Weymouth and go get a washer and dryer. And it's going to cost $1,000. Or I'll give you a receipt for what it cost me. If I can get it for $700 delivered and installed, then I'll give you the balance. I'm holding back $1,000. Okay, you're in the driver's seat as the buyer's agent. Okay, in making these things happen. And then you want to coordinate move-in dates. Okay, you want to make sure that if your buyer is also selling a house on the same day, don't do it. I'll tell you right now, if you're the listing agent for their house and you're also the buyer's agent for their new house, I'm going to give you a tidbit of information. Get them to close on their house at least one day before they're buying the new house, okay? And be smart about this. Tell them, hey, look, you're buying a house in Plymouth. Our closing is going to be the Plymouth Registry of Deeds or wherever it is. Okay. I'm going to put you up at the Hampton Inn at my expense. Okay. For one night lodging. I'm going to let you go to the 110 Grill, all expenses paid. You have a nice drink, celebrate the closing of your house. And now you're buying and celebrate the fact that you're buying a new house the next day. You guys are rested, ready to go. We're going to go do the final walkthrough at 9 a.m. in Plymouth, and then we'll go to the closing at 10. Okay, but that's my expense to you. So book a hotel room at the Hampton Inn or whatever you want to, you decide, the 1620 Hotel in Plymouth, whatever you want to do. Make it nice for them, and then get them a nice dinner, okay? And it's maybe cost you maybe $200, $300, $400, okay? But think about it. You got the commission on the listing, okay, which let's just say for round numbers is 10 grand, and they moved up, they bought a bigger house, and now you got the commission on the buyer side. Now you got 15, you got 25 grand coming to you, okay? You mean to tell me you won't spend $300, $400 for that client to make their life easier and smoother and your life easier and smoother? And believe me, you will get referrals from that. When they talk to their friends about, oh, this is what my agent did. My agent didn't do that. We were stressing out. We were packing on our thing, and then we had to go close that afternoon on our thing. Oh my gosh, it was a stress match. You will be the talk of their next party. Okay? So use that to your advantage. Spend money to make money. All right. And even if it's your first closing or whatever, put it on a credit card. And by the time you get that credit card bill, you will, and I'm not big on credit cards, trust me. I believe in being debt free, but certain things you pay. And then by the time those check clears, you pay that off in full. Okay. But you spent $400 and you made 25 grand. And best of all, you have made your clients very relaxed, very happy. They show up the next morning, and believe me, they've had a couple of glasses of wine. They celebrated the night before. They are a happy camper to come to that closing. And they're a happy camper to come to the walkthrough. They're like, oh, I know the washer, who cares? Look at Dennis, we just got all this money. Don't worry about it. You know something? I just put that in there as a negotiation tool, Dennis, to be honest with you. I was going to replace it anyway. I don't want to put my clothes in someone else's washer machine or dryer. Don't worry about it. Okay. All right, fine. Okay, cool. All right. So believe me, that one night could make your life so much better. Okay. No charge. All right. And the bottom line, I have highlighted attend the closing for many reasons, as we already discussed. So one, you can get referrals. Two, you have more exposure to people. And three, you receive your credit. You receive your commission check at that time. And the sooner you get that commission check over to Faye in Braintree, or I don't know who it is in Norwell, but you get that check to them. Fang. Okay, then they'll cut you a check. Okay. And we all like checks, right? So any questions on the buyer agent contract to close checklist? Does everybody have that checklist in their documents, or do they know where to get it? If you don't know where to get it, you go right here. Thank you, Marie. All right. So next we have the listing agent contract to close checklist. Okay. And we're going to take a break right after this. Okay. So people can go get a new cup of coffee or use the restroom, but this will go pretty quickly. Okay. The listing checklist, believe it or not, is not as complicated. You just need to what you need to do is you need to receive the check, make sure your broker gets the check. They put it in their escrow account. Okay. You deliver that earnest money to the broker. You don't handle it. Make sure they don't make the check out to you by mistake. It's made out to Keller Williams Realty. I don't think it needs to necessarily be Showcase Properties, but maybe it does. I don't know. I think it's just Keller Williams Realty. Okay. And just make sure it gets to whoever in your office is responsible for that. You need to coordinate the inspection with the buyer's agent. The first thing you say is, okay, how soon can you get the inspector here? Because you need to coordinate with their seller if your seller's still living in the home. So, it's not like, oh, they're going to show up on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Well, you need permission from your seller that that's a good time to do that. Okay. So be sure you talk to your seller and say, is there any time that doesn't work for you? And they say, yeah, well, you know something, I have my mother sleeping over on Wednesday nights. I can't have anybody here Wednesdays and Thursdays. Okay, Wednesdays and Thursdays are out. You give that information to the buyer's agent so they know not to schedule the inspection then, okay? And then the next thing is you receive a written confirmation on the loan approval, okay? You make sure that that commitment letter and that loan approval is done, because part of the contract in the P&S, it says that, you know, they will apply for a loan, okay? Usually it's the next day after the P&S is signed that they're applying for loans, okay? But you want to make a confirmation that that loan has been approved. Very important, okay? And then you're involved in negotiating the repairs after the inspection is done. All right, you're the person that the buyer's agent sends the list of issues with, okay? A couple of things. So as the buyer's agent, you should be getting a report from the home inspector, okay? As a listing agent, you never want to receive that report. You make sure to the buyer's agent that when they get a report, you do not want that report, okay, emailed to you. You only want parts of the report that are specific to what they want repaired, okay? Because you have the choice of repairing the product too. If they say, okay, it needs brand new stairs, the chimney needs repointing, and it needs a new flue cap, well, maybe your relative is a mason and you can get that done for $300 on a case of Bud Light. I mean, who knows? All right. So you don't have to negotiate the price. You can say, no, I'll get that done prior to closing. And you agree to getting it done prior to closing. But you don't want the whole report, because the whole report tells you things that the roof is leaking, and both of them missed it or whatever. Once you've read the report, now you're responsible for, if this deal falls through, now you're responsible for disclosing anything that you've identified. Okay. So never receive the report. And if they do decide to send you the report in error, delete it immediately, actually reply back to them and say, you sent me the complete report in error. I have not opened it. I have deleted it from my file. Please just give me the bullet points of the issues that they have. Okay. Very, very important, because you don't want to be responsible for identifying everything if that deal falls through on the next MLS listing. Okay. So you ensure that the appraisal has been scheduled, and the way you do that is you do that through the loan officer and also the buyer's agent. So once the inspection is done and the purchase and sale is signed, now you send the copy of the P&S to the loan officer. The loan officer should be immediately setting up an appraisal, and you want to find out when that appraisal is, because you've got to be there for the appraisal. You as a listing agent need to be at the home, and I don't recommend that the homeowners be there, but they can be. But it's usually better that they're not there, because then they start talking to the appraiser and who knows what they're going to say. Same thing with the home inspection. The homeowner should never be there at the home inspection. Never, ever. Hey, if it costs you a lunch at the 110 Grill, or send them to go get ice cream at Tasty Freeze or Dairy Queen or whatever, do it. So look, at the guy's going to be here for 2.5 hours. You know, go have lunch on me. Here you go. Here's $100. Go do it. You don't want them there, because they'll justify everything. Oh, the heating system's brand new. Well, 2000 is not brand new. That's 20 years ago. Okay. So you just don't want them there at all. It's very important that you pull them away from that way the home inspector can talk freely and openly with their buyers, and you don't be there either. I mean, you could be there to open the door, and you can be there, but be afar that you don't hear what's going on, because again, anything that's discussed and you overhear, and you need to disclose it, even though it's somebody's opinion and it gets into a gray area there. But the fact of the matter is, if you heard something and you're ethical, you need to bring that to the attention of the sellers and say, look, he said that the wiring doesn't have a main fuse. Are you aware of that? Oh yeah, I didn't think that was important. Well, I'm not an electrician. I have my own real estate business through Keller Williams. I have no idea what a main fuse is. I just heard them say that. Now you open up a can of worms that you don't want to be dealing with, okay? So you don't want to hear what's going on. You wait in your car, get on your email. If you need to be at the house because the seller requires you to be there, you be there, but you separate yourself from the inspection, okay? It'll be to your benefit. Any questions on that? All right, so then conduct the final walkthrough with the buyer, okay? So you want to be there with the buyer's agent and the buyers when they do the final walkthrough, because what you don't want is them to pick the house apart. you know, all of a sudden they move furniture and they, oh, I didn't expect this hole to be in the wall or this stain to be there, this and that. It's like the seller should have repaired that. The seller should have touched that stuff up. But if it's little pinholes or a little issue, or they took down curtain rods that they weren't supposed to, whatever. I mean, sometimes you got to go to Bed Bath & Beyond and go hang new curtain rods while they're doing a closing and send pictures during the closing so they don't do a holdback. I mean, there's certain things that you may have to do as a real estate agent that you don't realize you're responsible for doing, okay? If they moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they took the washer and dryer out, and you call the buyers, I mean, the sellers, and say, look, where's the washer and dryer? Oh, don't tell me the movers took that. Yeah, the movers took it. It's gone. You got to replace the washer and dryer. Oh, Dennis, they're going to do $1,000 holdback. Oh, no. All right, I tell you what. You go to George Washington Toma, go buy a washer and dryer that was similar to what we did, get them to install it as soon as possible, get a receipt, and we'll reimburse you for it. Okay, great. Then you do that. You know, you got to do certain things that aren't in your job description, but you got to keep the deal together, okay? And then again, it says go to the closing, okay? But before that, it also says have client review closing disclosures to ensure accuracy in debts and credits. Very, very important. You look at the closing disclosure. You ask for the closing disclosure 3 days prior to the closing, because sometimes things get screwed up and you don't want to have that dealt at the closing, okay? If you identify that the commission is wrong, you identify that, hey, wait a minute, we gave them a $1,000 earnest money deposit and another $24,000 to equal $25,000, but it's only showing $24,000 and nobody else caught that but you bring that to everybody. Say, look at, hey, there's an issue here. There's a discrepancy. Get this fixed prior to closing. And it's not the closing attorneys in most cases. It's usually their paralegal that does all that. So you're not hurting anybody's feelings if somebody missed something or dropped the ball. Any questions on any of that? Is everybody up for a quick, let's say a 10-minute break?
Sure.
We'll meet
One
back
quick
here.
question, sorry. I
Oh.
hate to be the student that has the question when you get in a
I'm
break.
glad you are. No.
When you get a commission letter from the other agent,
A commission statement or an invoice, yeah.
yeah, should that be uploaded on Dotloop as well? Or?
Absolutely, sure. It's required.
Okay.
If you're the listing, if you're the, you mean if you're the buyer's agent?
No, the listing agent.
Yes, no, it's a requirement for your closing, for your checklist that you need their document because on Dotloop, because that actually has their W-9 information on it. And if we don't have, if they're a small broker and we've never done a deal with them, we're going to require that they give us a W-9, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a form the federal government does. It gives them a taxpayer ID, because if you're the listing agent, what happens is you now pay the co-broke the commission. So let's say it's a $30,000 commission that's split 50-50. So 15 grand goes to the listing agent, 15 grand goes to the buyer's agent. You need an invoice from the buyer's agent showing the $15,000. That goes to the brokerage, and that brokerage is going to get a 1099 from Keller Williams saying, hey, we gave you $15,000. So we need their tax ID information. If you look at our commission statement, that's all listed in the bottom of it. So you shouldn't have any problem, anybody asking for a W-9 for us. But if they do, you supply it. That's okay. We have it. It's in Dotloop. But yeah, it should go into Dotloop. Everything that has to do with every piece of paper you have, I put everything in there.
Okay, you know what? I misspoke. I was thinking of the pre-approval. That goes in as well? A pre-approval letter?
Well, I put it in. I put it in there. It's
Okay.
not necessary. It's not part of the whole deal. Because let me think about that. I included in Dotloop, but I don't think it's part of the checklist that's necessary, because not everybody's going to get a pre-approval. Some people are going to pay cash. So yeah, put it all in there. I put everything in Dotloop, every single thing, to a point where it's gross. There's so much stuff in there. But I also put in little folders as well. So identify, there's a folder for all documents, and then there's a folder for just closing documents, which which I know the person in Braintree who actually looks at the dot loop along with Faye, she appreciates that because she only has to look in certain areas. But I put everything in there. It's a great filing system. That way everything's there.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. I actually put in the, so on the buyer side, I actually put in the home inspection report that I received from the home inspector. I put that in dot loop too, because that's where I know I'll find it very easily.
Smart.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys back here in 8 minutes at 11. Everybody, I got to take a quick call, so I'll be right back. Okay, my apologies. I'm back. 2 minutes late. Can everybody come off mute and tell me they hear me?
Hear you.
Hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. All right. Let's continue on then. Okay. So, any questions on anything that I discussed so far? Any revelations? Any concerns? Steve, you've done several closings. Does everything seem like it's on par with you, or am I telling stories out of school, or are you just here for extra credit?
I'm here for extra credit. I just figured I've never done this before, and I've been here for a few years, and I figured now's a great time.
Yeah, and it is. It really is. And it's a good refresher course. I've taken them before. I've popped into a few myself. So it's a great thing that Keller Williams offers, for sure.
I agree. Just remember, when I joined Keller Williams, like 2 weeks later, I was in bold. I should have done this. I wished I had done this first. I shouldn't say should have, but I wished I had done this first and then jumped into bold.
Yeah, I've told you many times, never should on yourself, Steve. Never say should. Never should on yourself. Okay.
I like that.
Use it. It's free. No charge. Everything I say here is free of charge. Okay. So one thing I love about real estate is we have a lot of fun, and we have some really, really great agents that we work with. Okay. So
I do have a question, Dennis.
yeah, go right ahead.
Are you the pot man?
I am the pot man. Who's asking that question?
Hold on.
Marie.
Marie, yes, I am. And you will be seeing the pots shortly. It's all part of my closing.
You weren't supposed to tell what that meant for the people who didn't know.
Dennis,
Yes.
I have done business with the pot man, and it's awesome.
You're going to see an example of it later. Yes,
Okay.
It really is awesome. So before marijuana was legal, the pastor of my church actually used to introduce me as the biggest pot dealer in the country. because I sold pottery and bird baths, as I said early on, to all the independent garden centers coast to coast. I had over 4,000 customers coast to coast. And that's how I was known. I was known as the biggest pot dealer in the country. But it's not so funny now because pot's legal. But for the first 25 years of my career, people loved it. My dentist still calls me the pot man too. So yeah, I'd rather him call me with a referral of real estate, believe it or not. But as long as I'm known for something. But I'm gonna show you those in a minute. It's a stoneware crock that I'm gonna give you guys a great offer on as well. Okay, there you go, Steve. There you go. Okay, but wait, there's more. All right, so let's get through this. Here we go. And we got a bunch more to go through, but it's going to go pretty quick from here. All right. So this is really important, okay? Be a problem solver, okay? Don't avoid problems. Don't create what I call a fish pile on your desk, okay? So something that's a stack of papers like this that have to be dealt with that, you know, is like a pile of fish. It begins to stink and you never want to deal with it. Deal with the problem. Handle it right away, okay? You will feel so much better than you will by avoiding it, okay? I'm truly a procrastinator by nature, but what real estate's really helped me is to no longer be a procrastinator because time is of the essence in everything that we do. That, you know, I just deal with it. I handle it, I deal with it, and if I don't know the answer, first thing I say is, I don't know the answer to that, but let me get back to you. And then I jump right on it and get it resolved, okay? So promise me that you will not be a procrastinator, that you will solve problems because you will benefit from that, okay? So part of being a great problem solver is taking advanced inventory of things that can go wrong in the contract to close phase that we just reviewed, okay? On the transaction and creating a plan on how to deal with it. So let me ask you a couple of things, okay? What would you do in the inspection and repair situation if there was a surprise finding? I want input from somebody on this here. I don't care who it is, but give me some input because there's no right or wrong answers. Just give me an answer and I'll tell you what I think, okay? So as a listing agent, okay, there's a surprise finding at the home inspection. What could you do to avoid something like that? All right.
Avoid it or deal with it after you find out?
Well, avoid it. A surprise finding on a home inspection. It's not a trick question. It's so here's Steve, what would you do in a situation where you had a listing and how can you avoid surprise findings at home inspections?
Oh boy, you put me on the spot. First of all, talk with the seller as a listing agent to find out if they know of any defects with the property beforehand. You know, maybe there's something that they've been meaning to fix 15 years ago and just haven't gotten to it, and you know, things get put aside.
Yep.
Some people would suggest having a pre-home inspection, but I'm not on that side of the
Okay.
thing.
Why?
Because once I know, it has to be disclosed.
That is true. Okay. So that is a very important part. Okay. So there's two rules of thumb. One is you get a pre-inspection, okay, which costs just as much as a home inspection. In some circumstances, I think it's a good idea because if you go in there and you know that a lot of items could need to be fixed and they don't want to hear it from you, but they hear it from the home inspector, then they're more likely to fix it. But two, you can actually offer that home inspection
Yep.
to the buyer and save the buyer $550 to $650.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If your offer is accepted, I will provide you with this if you choose to use it. And then again, a good buyer's agent is going to say, yeah, well, you know something, maybe you should still do it anyway. Okay. And you could actually charge a higher marketing fee if you want to offer that as a service to your customer. Say, look, you walk into a house and you know it's going to need windows, you know it's going to need a roof, you know it's going to need painting, you know it's going to need all these things. And they want top value for their house and they're being totally unrealistic, say, look, you sign a listing agreement with me, Mr. LeBlanc, and here's what I'll do, okay? I'll get you a pre-inspection, okay? I'll pay for it out of my proceeds, okay? And we'll see what it is. And if it's something that's, you know, some things may have run its course, like your heating system, I'll even offer a American Home Shield home warranty to the buyer, okay? So you don't have to repair those things, but I'll do that, okay? And that's what I do for an 8% marketing fee, okay? And if you don't want that, then fine, we could drop it to 7, okay? And if you don't want drone photography, then we could drop it to 6, okay? But you know, those are the type of things that if you don't, you know, if you don't offer those things, and you may not be able to get that full commission, okay? Or marketing fee, as some people call it, like I do, all right? But you offer those resources to people. One, it's gonna help them because they're gonna identify those issues and problems. And if the roof isn't leaking, but it says that it's exceeded its lifespan, then okay, then you know what? The market says that your house is worth $500,000 and you want $580,000 for your house. Odds are, if you fix all these things, because all those houses that were comped had brand new roofs, had brand new windows, had granite countertops, updated kitchens, stainless steel appliances, all those things cost about $80,000. So if you want to do all that prior to listing it, yeah, let's do it. If not, then you're not going to get that kind of money for the house. So you just use it to your advantage to offer that to them. They don't have to accept it, but offer it to them. So just think about it. So if you give them a pre-inspection, unless you feel talented enough to be able to identify things, I'm not, okay? I don't know necessarily, I've learned what knob and tubing wiring is, but I don't necessarily go down to the basement in a crawl space and look and see if they have it or not, because I don't want to disclose that, okay? But if I had a pre-inspection, and I'd have to disclose it if it was in there, but I'd also have to tell the seller that because of that, you could be looking at a $10,000 or $15,000 job that everybody's going to try to reduce your price by that amount. So you might as well go out, and if you don't want to do any of the work, let's put the house on for $489,900, get multiple offers, and maybe we can get up to $520,000 or $530,000 and tell them the reason why that the house is on for $489,900 is because it has these issues with it and it's priced accordingly, okay? But just think about that. So you pay, let's just say $600 for a pre-home inspection, okay? And then you're gonna pay a 1-year homeowner's warranty for a single family home, which maximum is gonna be $725. So you're out of pocket about $1,500. But if you get a higher marketing fee to cover that cost, you're really not out of the pocket at all. They're barely paying for it, okay? But you don't have to tell them to pay for it. All right. And it's all good if you use it to your advantage. Okay. So pre-inspect to avoid surprises. Okay. What also is, you know, when you get the report, it can be complex. Okay. And it can be confusing to your buyers. So what, in the situation of a buyer's agent, what do you do during the home inspection? Do you attend? Do you not attend?
I would attend if I represent the buyer.
Yes, good answer. And not only attend, but actually be with them if you can. Again, COVID, things have changed, okay? Some home inspectors only want one person there, but I'm talking pre-COVID, I would go to every single home inspection. I would go through everything because you learned a lot. I learned what knob and tubing is now. I know
Right.
I can identify that pretty quickly. I learned certain things about railings, on how high railings, you know, have to be at certain heights. I mean, there's certain things that you pick up on that you can be the expert when trying to list the house. But those reports can be 70 pages long, okay? And so if you attend the inspection, then you can easily go through that report with your client and identify the real problems, okay? Not every nook and cranny, not every crack switch plate, because the home inspector is gonna do that. The home inspector is gonna justify their cost, okay? They're gonna justify $600 for being there 2 or 3 hours, okay? So they're gonna identify every single problem that's wrong, all right? And then all kinds of recommendations, we recommend.
Dennis,
Go ahead.
on the last one I did, there was a lot of like kind of cover yourself statements for the home inspector. Do you see that a lot? Like, for example, like the electrical, he was like, you know, inspector is not a licensed electrician, seek a licensed electrician. You know, there was nothing wrong with it. It's just that it kind of scared the buyers a little bit. And then it made me start to think, I'm like, maybe there is something wrong with it. Like, you know, for example, well water and the
You're breaking up a little bit, Mark. Mark, you're breaking up a little bit, but I understand your question. So the question is, you know, when the home inspector puts in the report that that the home inspector is not a licensed plumber or not a licensed electrician, and they recommend that you get a licensed plumber or a licensed electrician to come out and evaluate or replace or repair, that can be concerning to the buyers. So that's why when you're there at the inspection, you take notes. So when he's looking in the panel and he says, "Oh yeah, there's some double tapped circuit breakers," okay, you'll learn over time that that's not a really, that's a common practice. It's not against code necessarily, but it's not something that's going to cause the house to catch on fire. But he's going to identify that there's double taps, and that means that an electrician should come in and just put in if there's space, should put another circuit breaker in. Okay, well, you're not going to get an electrician to come in to do that, even though the circuit breaker is $50 and his labor time is 5 minutes. He's not going to do it for $100. He's going to do it for a minimum of $500. So you say, okay, well, you know, that's a $500 job. Okay. So those are the things that you have to walk through with your client and say, look, unless it's in red or in bold saying that must be repaired or would not recommend buying this house without this repair or something to that effect, because it's blatant, then you know, you can pretty much tell them, you know, it's not that important. I can put in the request and ask for a $500 deduction for that, or have them repair it prior to closing. Okay, because that's always their option. You should always give them that option, that the seller should repair prior to closing, or that you'll take this price reduction. Okay, and then that's the negotiation part. Did that answer your question, Mark?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, sure.
So on your marketing fee, that's something that you can, like, you would do that up front, obviously. But could you, instead of like going, all right, the marketing fee, I guess it's two-part question. If you got, say, 6 or 7% as a marketing fee because you were going to pay out of pocket for the pre-inspection report, and also you know that there's a lot of work involved, offer like a home warranty, would you split that with the listing agent, or offer like the listing agent like 3 or 2.5%?
No, you would be the listing agent if you were getting the
I
marketing.
mean, the buyer's
Yeah,
agent.
yeah. So
Sorry.
no, this is all done. When you're talking marketing fee, what you're doing is you're talking pre-listing.
Okay.
So that's at the listing appointment. So let me give you an example.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I've been thinking about doing this for 3 years, and I'm probably going to go forward with it. You know, when you go to a restaurant
Yes.
and you go to Morton's Steakhouse,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and everything is a la carte at Morton's Steakhouse. You get the steak for $80, and then you want the potatoes au gratin. Well, that's $12. You want the green beans almondine. That's $8. You want all this other stuff, okay? So my thought is this, is what I'm thinking about doing, is I'm going to come up with something like this, like the warranty company has, okay? Kind of like a menu. And here, this is my 8% marketing fee. This is my 7% marketing fee. This is my 6% marketing fee. And this is my 5% marketing fee. Okay. So you get these options for my 5% marketing fee. You get these for my 6, these for my 7, and these for my 8. Okay. And then, you know, you can, if you want, if you like the client or their friends and family, and you really think it's important to sell a house, or you want that listing, you can say, look, I'm going to do all this for you for 6%. Or I'll do all this for you for 7%. Or they say, you know, I really don't want the drone photography. I really don't want you to do the pre-inspection. I really don't want you. Okay, well, that's going to fall into the 6% category. Okay, is that fair? Yeah, okay, great. So now you just signed it for 6%. Okay. And the last one is the 5%. That's the bare bones. Okay. But you can decide to do everything at 5% if you want, but it's up to you. Okay. But if you don't give them a value of why you're worth the extra percentages, then all it is numbers to them and it doesn't matter. Okay. So that's just a thought process that I've been thinking about doing. And I'm thinking about coming up with some, like a marketing menu for my clients and inserting it into my, my listing appointments when I'm talking to them. Okay.
Yes.
So yes.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, feel free.
If you're charging someone 8%, are you still, you're not doing a 50-50 split at that point. You're probably offering 2.5 and you're keeping the rest because of your expenses are higher.
Maybe I might offer 4 and 4.
Okay.
But if I think it's a property that's going to sell in one weekend, and I can promote it to all the agents out there. Hey, look at a 4% co-broke. If you bring me offers this weekend and we come up with a deal, and you've got a buyer who's in that category, I mean, what better you can bring to a seller than to get as many offers as possible and get multiple offers. And if you know that you could, you know, it's a $500,000 property and you can make 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. But you know, you can, that's up to you. It's you get paid the marketing fee. Your co-broke split is what you decide the co-broke split's going to be. And yeah, absolutely though. If you're going to parlay and you're going to lay out, if I got an 8% marketing fee and I know I'm going to be doing a home inspection and I'm going to be doing a drone photography and I'm going to be doing staging and I'm going to be doing all these other things and outlaying, you know, possibly $3,000 of my $20,000 fee if I go 50-50. Yeah, I may go 5 and 3. Yeah. Yeah. You can do
So
whatever.
just clear, you're calling commission marketing fee, right? Just so that I'm 100% on the same page as you.
Yeah, we're not officially, we're not supposed to talk commissions. Okay, we're not supposed to talk commissions. We're supposed to talk apples and oranges, and we're supposed to be talking about. So yeah, marketing fee is code for commission percentages.
Okay, just so I was clear.
No, that's fine. Okay, but I mean, legally, we're not supposed to, because it would be considered, there's some kind of legal term of collusion or price fixing or all those other things. So when we talk amongst other agents, like Redfin promotes a 1% listing fee. Okay. You know, I don't think they say 1% commission. I think they call it a listing fee. So the word commission, I think, rubs people crazy. So I've kind of pulled that out of my vocabulary. And I try to, because what I'm doing is I'm marketing your home for 6%. Okay. And that's my fee to do all my marketing, to do all my open houses, to do everything that I need to do to get your house listed and sold for the highest possible price. So yeah, that's exactly the vernacular that I use. But that's the term, correct.
Okay.
It's what you get paid.
What home warranty company was that? Do you deal with, I know what a home warranty is, but I'm not familiar with the companies.
American Home Shield.
Oh, okay.
Is the one I've done them through, and they've been great.
Okay.
They've been great. They're simple. They're easy. You can do it right online. It's just, I tell people when I used to teach loop classes that I am what's called an efficiency expert. Okay. I like to be known as an efficiency expert. And the reality is what that means is I'm lazy. I only want to do it once. I don't want to do it twice. And that's what I love about .loop. I plug it all in once and it self-populates everything for me. American Home Shield does the same thing. Same thing.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And so whenever possible, I like to just do it once.
On our calendar, I think they're doing a Zoom thing tomorrow from 11 to 12, American Home Shield.
Perfect.
Participate. Listen, she's got a great program. And you know something? And that's something that you can, if you run into a situation, we're getting a little off topic, but that's okay. I like these questions. So let's say, for instance, Steve has a listing, okay? And he's got a listing and I've got a buyer. and he's got a house listed for $500,000. I come in and I got a home inspector in there, and the home inspector said, look at Dennis, it needs about $40,000 worth of work here. Well, he doesn't say it's worth 40,000. He says it has all this work. And I get some contractors in there, and I get legitimate contracts, and they say that it's worth about $40,000. And Steve and I negotiate back and forth on behalf of the buyer and the seller, and we come up with a number of $20,000. And I say, hey, you know what? We'll take a price reduction of $20,000. But to keep this deal going, Steve, what if you and I split 50-50 a home inspection, okay, that's going to cost $725, and that'll cover everything from the air conditioning, the heating, the ductwork, the plumbing, electrical, the appliances, the washer and dryer, refrigerator, everything, doorbells, garage door openers, you name it, okay, to keep this deal together. Are you okay with doing that with me? 375?
I am.
Yeah, because we're both going to be getting, you know, Steve brilliantly enough negotiated an 8% marketing fee. So we're each
I'll let you know when
get,
that ever happens.
and he's a great co-broke because he's offering a 50-50 split. So we're each going to generate about $20,000 of earnings out of this marketing of a home. And you know something? I'd be more than willing to pay $375, but unbeknownst to Steve, I would have done the whole $700 myself out of pocket. But I offer it to him. He could be the good guy and say, look, this is what I'm doing for my sellers. This is what I'm going to do to keep the deal together. I'm going to give them a 1-year homeowner's warranty. He doesn't have to say I'm doing it, because I'm going to go back to my buyers and say, look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw in the 1-year homeowner's warranty. But I'm a nicer guy than Steve. And I'm going to say, look, even the listing agent's going to go 50-50 on it with me, because he's a really good guy. Okay. So, but that's how you do it. And you know something? You're offering them something for nothing, but you're keeping the deal together.
Right.
You know, and it's worth every penny. Take that class, go to that infomercial, because it's well worth it. And you'd be a fool not to utilize it if you can. Okay. I did it in a Weymouth house. It was great. It was the first thing that they said is, oh, look at the heating system. Well, that's why I'm offering the homeowner's warranty. Yeah, the appliances are okay. That's why I'm offering this homeowner's warranty to you. You want to buy the house, you're covered for a year. It's a $125 service fee. That's all you got to pay. And if they can't fix it, they must replace it. That's in the warranty. Really? Yeah. You're giving us, I'm giving that to you. Tell your listing agent to put the offer in tonight. All offers are due tomorrow at noon. Boom. That's how you close the deal. Okay. You got to spend money to make money sometimes. All right. Any other questions on being a problem solver as far as loans go? Make sure that you have an up-to-date, when getting the offers, you look at that pre-approval. You want a pre-approval, okay? Not pre-qualification, okay? Not an email from Quicken Loans, okay? You want a true pre-approval. And go back to the listing agent if the offer looks strong and say, go back to the buyer's agent and say, look at here, this isn't a pre-approval. This is I don't know what this is. And I tried calling Quicken and I can't get anybody. So get me a pre-approval and I'll present your offer. But that's what it says in my, and I put in my, I wonder if I could show this to you guys. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Ignore the man behind the curtain. Let's listen. So what I put in my MLS listing is it's called listing instructions. Because again, I like to over communicate. And I can't find it here. But any case, it's just a 1-page it's a one-page listing, I mean, summary of a, oops, of what I'm expecting from the buyer's agents to give me at the time of them presenting an offer. All right, well, if you have time at the end, I'll open one up for you. It's really weird. It's not here. Anyway, I think I showed this to you, Mark, didn't I?
Like the letter to Cobro, or like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll show you guys at the end. Okay. I'll find it, but it's important.
Dennis, would it be attached to one of your previous listings?
It would be, correct. Yeah. So that's where I'm going to pull it up from.
Oh,
But so here's the thing. Set the expectation. Tell them exactly what you need. In that, you want a copy of the earnest money deposit check. You want a copy of the offer. You want a copy of the signed lead paint if necessary. You want a copy of the pre-approval. Okay. You want whatever documents you need signed by them, you want it signed. And if they don't give you that information and their offer looks pretty good, but they're missing a couple of things, go back to them. Okay. And say, look, you're missing this, this, and this. You're missing the signed lead. You're missing the copy of the Cobro check, or the earnest money deposit check. You know, go back to them and give them the option to fix it. If you got 15 offers, you could just reject them and say, look, if this is what I'm going to, if this person didn't take the time to read this, then I don't want to be dealing with this. And I got 15 other offers. So, okay. So make sure you follow those instructions carefully because they're specific, but they're all common sense. No one's asking for something that they're not going to get. And when you get that pre-approval, feel free to call the loan officer. Talk to the loan officer. Say, hey, have they fully vetted? Did you guys do a complete underwriting, pre-underwriting, everything looking good? I mean, they can disclose certain information to you, but not everything. But some people will give you more information than you, unless if you don't ask, you don't get. Okay. Other contingencies. Okay. Are you willing to take up backup offers? Is there a home sale contingency on the offer? Look for all those things. And when I have multiple offer situations, I actually do an Excel spreadsheet listing all the different offers, all the different prices, all the different contingencies, everything. And that's what I present to my sellers. And I bring the copies of the offers, or I show it to them on .loop on my computer, but I don't print them all out. What I print out is an Excel spreadsheet. And it's easily identifiable which is the best offer. It doesn't, let me put it this way. It'll identify which is the highest offer. It'll identify which has got the best terms. And then you then talk with them about what they consider the best offer. Just because it's the best price does not mean it's the best offer. You could have a cash offer for $25,000 less that's going to close in 21 days versus somebody who's going to pay $25,000 more, but may have funding issues or may have a contingency to sell their house. Okay. So the highest offer is not always the best offer. That's why we always, when asked for highest and best, that's what we ask for. Give me your highest price and your best offer. But they're both not the same. All right. So here's a question for you. After doing all this, how do you feel you can leave a good impression? What's the best thing you can do at the closing to leave a good impression? Mark?
I mean, if you leave it on a good note, if you, bring them to their house and get them in there and, capture those moments and, yeah, I'm not sure. Just make sure it's an overall good experience.
And that's it. And ask, hey, would you consider this a good experience? Your past buyer, Mark, you should ask them both, either together or independently. Say, look, what could I have done differently to make this as you may or may not know, this is my first transaction. So, what could I have done differently to make this better, in your opinion? And if they're first-time home buyers and they have no idea, then they're really not going to be that helpful to you, but maybe they will. Maybe they'll, like I said, Dennis, you said you'd be available 7 to 7, and we called you every night at 7 o'clock and you weren't available. You didn't call us till the next day. well, you know something, then I need to change that. I can only offer I'm good till 7 to 5, or be available when 7 o'clock, or, you know, set the expectations of these people, but live by whatever you set. It's very, very important, because that's what they're going to remember. They're going to remember the bad stuff, not always the good stuff, unless there's so much good stuff that they can't help but remember it. Has anybody else had any closings that they could share that their customers were over the top on? In my cube in Braintree, I have some thank you cards. And then I've also received thank you cards here at my house. This one, I think I shared this with Steve one day, is one client sent me this one here. And it says, thanks. It's an acronym for thoughtful, helpful, always there, nice, kind-hearted, and supportive. So, and this is, my client took the time to write me a handwritten card thanking me. Okay, and has been trying to refer me to clients because of that. There's, you know, I just keep them all. I absolutely keep them all. I got the one at home. I have this little box that I keep them in. And in my cube, I post them to my in my wall in my cube, and I also get thank yous from Radius Financial that I do mortgage business with. They also send handwritten thank yous. You know what's different from this and most anything else? I'm saving them. Don't you think your client would save something from you if you sent them a little thank you note saying, hey, thank you so much for trusting me in your purchase decision. And I hope I did a great job for you. And in the future, if you could refer me to anybody you know who's buying, selling, or investing in real estate, I'd really appreciate that. And I would love to send you a token of appreciation if I could get a deal done with them. Okay? And you don't have to say what that token appreciation is, but it could be a $200 gift card to Morton Steakhouse if you get a $20,000 fee out of it. Okay, those are things people remember. They really do. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So here's a great way to seize the golden opportunity, okay, of getting referrals. Remember, you only have one chance to leave a lasting impression, okay? And no better time to do that is at the closing when everybody's at their happiest, okay? So agents have two agendas. One is to move the current transaction toward a successful closing, correct? And two, to ensure referrals. Most agents don't get that, okay? The first one, move the current transaction toward a successful closing, is your payday, okay? That's money in the bank. Number two, ensure referrals, is future paydays. Okay, so it's very, very, very important that you get those future referrals. That means staying in touch with people. Okay, believe it or not, listen to this National Association of Realtor fact. Okay, NAR reports that 88% of clients say they would use their real estate agent again, but only 12% do. Let me repeat that. NAR reports that 88% of the clients say they would use their real estate agent again, but only 12% do. Why do you think that is? Because 76% lose touch with their past clients. They literally orphan their past clients. They don't reach out to them. They don't send them emails. They don't send them cards just because. This COVID was a great opportunity to say, hey, just thinking about you. You know, hope you and your family are well. In every single mastermind we had during this, everything was talking about wellness calls. Make your calls. Don't ask about real estate. They'll ask you about real estate. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them how their family's doing. How's their dog doing? Boy, I know you guys usually go to the Cape every July 4th weekend. Are you guys going this year? Oh, you're not? How come? Oh, because of this. Oh, what a bummer. Oh my gosh. And what are you doing, Dennis? Well, you know something, I'm hoping to have, you know, some clients look at some open houses because the same thing, they're not going down the Cape. Oh, how's that real estate business going for you? Oh, it's been going great. It really has, you know. Things could always be better. So if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate, please keep me in mind, will you? And wait for them to say yes. It'll always come back to real estate. People love talking real estate. All right. I got another chat here, it looks like. Oh, all right. Love that. What do you love about that? Come on, speak up.
My microphone's bad.
That's okay. I want to. You can still
Well,
speak up. When you
I
say
was
that, I want to hear it.
Well, I was referring to when you had that that worksheet up with the different columns with your market fee and just
Yep.
sort of itemizing that stuff. That very much piqued my interest. And the follow-up question to that was going to be, do you find that it's a turnoff for folks because they don't usually hear those numbers when they're talking to other agents, and so how do you, where do you usually end up with clients?
So it depends. Okay. Majority of my listings, okay, usually end up in the 5 to 6 range. Okay. But you offer those other services because you can and you can afford to do so. And at the 6% marketing fee, I'll offer professional photography and I'll offer a home owner's warranty if they're willing to price the property correctly and you think you can sell the property quickly. If you think if they want an overpriced listing that you think you're going to be sitting on for a while and you're going to be asking for a price reduction in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, then you may not want to offer all those other things. I mean, it's really up to you. The bottom line is get the listing, okay? But I don't go below 5. I'll tell you right now, I do not go. I'm worth a 5, and I'm worth splitting the 5 with a co-broke. So, and if I actually find the buyer, so let's say I negotiated Deb to list her house with me, and we settled on a 6% marketing fee. And I said I'd throw in the homeowner's warranty and I'll put in professional photography, but I'm not going to do staging and I'm not going to do a pre-home inspection. Okay, that would have been at the 8% amount. So, but I'll do it at 6 and I'll throw in the stuff that's in the 7 and I'll do it for 6. And we agree on that. And here's the other part I put in there. But Deb, if during the open house, I get a client who is unrepresented and wants to utilize me as their buyer's agent, I work directly for you, okay? But I'd be willing to go as low as 5 on that, or even 4, or whatever, okay? Instead of a 3 split, I'll go to 4. It's more work for you, believe me. You deserve more, but you may not deserve the full amount. But if you think you are and you deserve it, you deserve it. It's up to you. They've agreed that they're going to pay 6% out. But if you want to offer that to them, offer that to them, So there's a lot of ways to skin that cat. There really is. Bottom line is, are you worth it? And if you are, ask for 10% marketing fee. What's the worst thing they can say is no? And say, all right, here's the deal. Today only. Today, if you sign today, I'll take 50% off that marketing fee and only charge you 5. But you have to sign right now. If I walk out that door, it's going to go to 10. Do we have a deal, Deb? Look at you, Deb. All right. My sign's going up in front of your house tomorrow morning.
Absolutely.
So, but utilize your sales skills, okay? If you don't feel comfortable doing it that way, that's okay too. I feel comfortable with it. I like doing stuff like that. I think I'm worth it. I really, really do. And if you don't believe you're worth it, you get paid what you're worth.
Well, I think it kind of gives you like a competitive advantage too when you put it that way, because other realtors really aren't presenting it that way.
No, they're not. They're just coming in with a fee and that's it.
Right.
And one of the things that you can say that I used to say in another business is that nobody can beat my price. Nobody. I'm the highest. But I'm worth it. And let me tell you why. Because this is what I do for you. You're going to get people coming in. You got this guy, Steve LeBlanc, who comes in and he offers a 4%. Okay. But believe me, he doesn't even get out of his convertible on the open houses. He just points people this way. No, I'm just picking on Steve. I'm friends with Steve. But no, but you know, and never tear down another agent. Okay, never bring up anybody's name. Never bring up another brokerage. Never do that. Sell yourself. Always sell yourself. But this is what I used to do in the pottery business. Okay, it was a very competitive business. We literally, people would buy and sell pennies on the dollar on products that I had because they were commodity items. But I would tell people that. I would say, look, and I actually was the vice president of sales. So all my salespeople brought me into the big accounts because I was the closer. I made the deal happen for them. So I'd come in and say, nobody can beat my price. Nobody, I'm the highest. But here's why. And I'd identify all my strengths, knowing that my competitors' weaknesses are my strengths. So if you want to buy from ABC Pottery Company, well, here's the thing. They don't use their own trucks, okay? And you're stating facts now, okay? They don't use their own trucks. Their stuff comes in, from my understanding, my experience is 80% of it could be broken, and they don't give you credit for it. Me, I deliver on my own trucks, my own drivers. They'll tailgate delivery to your garden center. We have pallet jacks on every single truck, and we'll move it to every greenhouse or any way you want it in the store. Okay. And if you have any breakage whatsoever, I don't care if you break it, we broke it during delivery, your customer paid for it, is walking out the door and they're putting it in the back of their SUV and they broke the pot, you give them credit. I'm a no hassle vendor. I'll give you 100% credit for that.
Dennis?
Yes.
So you said, you know, we don't badmouth other realtors regardless of, you know, where they're from. But in the pottery business, you kind of, what you were just saying, kind of badmouths the other people, you know, the other companies. So instead, in our business, would you more talk up what you do?
Yes.
That, you know, I'll do the drone photos. Would they do that for you? Or I do this. Would they do that for you? Versus saying they don't do that. They don't do that. They don't do that.
Exactly. That's exactly the point I was trying to make. Okay. Is that you talk about your positives. You talk about the things that you know that you will do that you've experienced other real estate agents wouldn't do or haven't offered. Okay. Let me give you an example. So I sold a house in Weymouth and I was up against, I did a listing presentation and there was already 2 other agents that had made their listing presentations, okay? And one of the things that I did is I gave them a price, okay? And I had no idea what the other people gave for a price. But what I included, what I told them is that I would do this for X% marketing fee, okay? And I'm gonna offer a homeowner's warranty to the buyer of this house because, as you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know, your appliances are outdated. The heating system is on its probably last leg. It works, but it's on its last leg. You want to offer the washer and dryer. Well, the washer and dryer is on its last leg. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer this here homeowner's warranty to them. No cost to you. This is what I'm charging. I'm taking this out of my commissions. Okay. And it includes all these things. And on top of that, during the listing time, I'm actually going to include seller's coverage. So if the air conditioning goes, or the heating goes, or the ductwork, or any plumbing or electrical or water heaters go during the time of the listing, which I don't think it'll take a long time to list this house, but while I have it listed in the 45 days for it to close, so let's say for 60 days, if we have any issue with the hot water tank, you make this one call for $125, and if they can't repair it, they got to replace it. Okay. And then that's going to transfer over to the new buyer. Okay. So I'm doing that no charge to you. That's included in my listing. Okay. They call me back. I followed up with them and they said, yeah, Dennis, you know something, we decided we're going to go with you. I said, okay, great. Oh, I said, and so I said to them, I said, oh, by the way, if you're concerned about telling the other 2 agents that, you know, that you gave me the listing, I'll make that call for you. I'll call those other agents and let them know that I got the listing, but I'll give them first right of refusal to be able to, as soon as I put it on MLS, I'm going to call them and let them know that I put it on MLS and that they should be able to get buyers in right away. I'll even give them pre-open house opportunity. This is again, pre-COVID. So they said, oh, that's great. Cause we really didn't want to tell this person or that person. Okay. Well, one of the people that I had to call, okay, and I'll leave them both nameless, but one of them was a top broker in Weymouth, okay? And he is the owner of the brokerage, and I had to call him. He didn't take my call, but I left him a voicemail telling him, hey, you know, I know you made this presentation. I just want to let you know, I got the listing. You'll be seeing on MLS, but I want to give you the first right. So if you have any buyers, please bring them by, or anybody in your office. I'll make arrangements that you guys get first in if you want. And then the second one was a top real estate broker in our office that I had to make the call to. And that person was, took my call, very cordial, and said, hey, Dennis, good for you. You know something? I must have dropped the ball. I must have dropped the ball. Good for you. If I get any buyers, I will certainly send them your way. So, you know, do those things. But I got it because I offered that 720, actually ended up costing me $800. Okay. And ironically enough, I ended up double siding the opportunity on this house, and I got the full marketing fee because the buyers came in and they just wanted to put the offer through me. So I made a bundle of cash, and I handed out very little. So, okay. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Great. Great questions. Really great questions.
Dennis, sorry, this is Selene again. I'll try to keep this brief for the site, but with that home buyer's warranty of $725, is that what your out-of-pocket expenses to purchase that for the seller?
No. So your out-of-pocket expenses, depending on which menu you're offering, okay? The top of the line menu, which covers just about everything, is $725. The next one down is $680, and the last one down is $540. Okay. Plus, there's a $70 fee for the seller's coverage option, which covers during the listing of the house. So it's all you attend this thing tomorrow. She'll explain all that to you. But I go right to soup to nuts. I'm like, you know what? For a couple $100, for under $200, I'll go right to the Shield Complete. I'll go right to the top of the line, cover everything. Okay. Now the seller's coverage doesn't cover everything. It only covers key essential things during the listing. But for the buyer, and believe me, this was I showed this at every open house. I actually had a rider at the bottom saying a 1-year homeowner's warranty is available or being offered. I promoted the heck out of it. And it was a big part of why we got the deal done. And we got to the closing table. Any other questions?
I think sorry, my mouth isn't working well this morning. I think she asked if that was money out of your pocket.
Yes, it is. But let me go back because I missed a point, as she said. So that is money out of your pocket that you pay for after the closing. They're going to bill you after the closing. If the house never closes, then you never have to pay. If you lose the listing, it expires or whatever, you never have to pay. Okay, you don't prepay it. It's only after the closing. Okay, only after you've made money. Now, here's the thing: the trade service fee is $125. Whoever has a problem, whether it be the seller or the new buyer, pays that $125 service fee to get a contractor out there to look and repair the product if they can, or replace it if they have to. But all they pay is the $125. Now, there are certain, there are certain caps, okay? But she'll go through all that for you. But you don't have to go through all that. All you got to do is tell them, look, the house is going to be covered for a year under a homeowner's warranty. Or they actually offer a 2-year too. And they do it for condos. And come to find out, they do offer it for multifamilies. So, okay? But definitely attend that class tomorrow. And you'll find out it's a great marketing tool to make the deal close. Okay? Any other questions on that? All right, so here's what I'm going to hit you with, okay? Again, don't let your clients be orphans, okay? Follow up with them regularly, okay? Or bare minimum, send them a greeting card every year or send them an anniversary card on the close of their house. Hey, it's been 3 years since you closed on your house. I hope everything is well. Not sure if you've done any home improvements or whatever. Hey, and by the way, if you're ever interested in selling it, let me know and I'll be happy to give you a free competitive market analysis on what it's worth. Or if you have any neighbors that are interested of selling, please keep me top of mind. If you have any you want to become your neighbor, let me know, and I'll be happy to door knock in that neighborhood and see if anybody wants to sell. You know, just stay in touch with these people. You really, you know, I had, the first year I had 24 transactions. My next year, I think I had 28 transactions, okay? So a grand total of maybe 50 clients, both sides, okay? When it's all said and done, because some of them did bought and sold. That's not a lot of people to keep in touch with. It's really not. And those are key people. Those are people that you've already shown and they have experience with you, and they're your best form of marketing, all right? So don't let them become orphans. And the other part is that, you know what, again, maybe that person who listed the house may not be happy with their listing agent, okay? Or maybe the buyer, you're the listing agent, and maybe the buyer isn't so happy with that buyer's agent, okay? After the transaction is done, everybody's out of contract, okay? Nobody's under contract with anybody anymore. So those people are fair game. There's no reason why you can't send a thank you note to the buyer saying, hey, thank you so much for buying my listing. I really appreciate doing business with you, and I wish you nothing but the best. And if you know of anybody that wants to become a neighbor, if I have any other homes coming on the market, please feel free to reach out to me, because odds are the other agent's orphaning those people, okay? And if you get a phone call, if I get a phone call from Steve, hey, Dennis, stop poaching my customer. I'm like, hey, what do you mean your customer? Who's your customer? Oh, Deb said she got a letter from you saying that she appreciated you. Well, I really did appreciate the business. I really did. I appreciate co-broking with you too. It's worthwhile sending a co-broker a thank you too. Okay. I really enjoy co-broking. But I got to tell you, Steve, you know what? I read an interesting thing. You may or may not be aware of it, but National Association of Realtors reports that 88% of the clients say they'd like to do real estate with the same agent again. And maybe you're that guy. But the reality is 76% lose touch with their past clients. So I'm just reaching out to everybody. If they don't want to use me and they use you, believe me, they won't reach back out to me. But I'm not taking them off my list. Enjoy the day.
Good idea. I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you're just full of these great tips today.
Oh, you're just saying that because it's true, Deb. You're just saying that because it's true. Okay. All right. So now the fun part. This is the part that I love to talk about, okay? Is at the end of the closing, you could do a number of things. There's companies out there that you can send surveys to your clients to identify what you did good, what you did bad. There's all different ways of doing this, okay? Because sometimes people don't want to really tell you the bad news, and you need to hear the bad news sometimes. You know, Dennis, I got to tell you, you know, every time I saw you, you look like you needed to take a shower, okay? You stunk. You stunk up my car. You were like a Seinfeld episode. You left a stink in my car, okay? You know, just let the people be honest with you. Something, you know, sometimes you need to hear stuff, okay? So, but as for the feedback, okay, majority of people are going to give you the positive feedback. Most people aren't going to tell you the negative stuff, but you know what the negative stuff is that you need to improve on, okay? But if they do give you the negative stuff, don't take offense to it. Thank them for it and say, you know, that's going to help me improve my business. Because in all seriousness, you know, negative information is really helpful. Suggestive criticism, if it's delivered correctly, is the best way to learn. But two, send them a handwritten thank you note, okay? And it also says here, as well as a gift. All right. So what are some of the gifts that most people give for closings? So whoever's on the call who has had a closing, and I know a couple of you have, what have you given to your buyers as a closing gift? What did you give, Steve?
For buyers, I don't want to steal your thunder, but
Steal my
know,
thunder.
there
Yep.
it is.
Okay.
You know, gift
Prior to
certificates,
that,
gift
prior
cards.
to that brilliant closing gift, what we used to give.
Oh, prior to this?
Yeah.
Gift cards, but gift cards get spent and they're gone. This, you'll speak about it. This sits there. I believe the last one I gave is on their countertop as a utensil crock.
Nice.
And they just, you know, I hand delivered that, and they were just as a follow-up visit. I didn't do it at the closing. I went back as a follow-up visit a couple weeks later with this in hand, and they were just blown away.
And And you know something? And that's the key, because they're so busy with the closing, so busy trying to get out and get the movers there, do all these other things. I believe that's the wrong time to give movie tickets or a gift card.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to give all those things, give them. I mean, that's fine. Anything you give,
Yep.
a gift basket or a handmade sign or anything, there's all kinds of different gifts to give. You should always give a gift. But in my humble opinion, do it a minimum of 2 weeks after the closing. Ask to be invited over. Say, look, I have a housewarming gift for you, not a closing gift. I have a housewarming gift that I'd like to give either of you or both of you or each of you, or if it's just one person, okay? And then come on over and say, I'd love to see what you've done with the house, okay? Sometimes it could be a month. Sometimes it could be a year. I mean, who knows? You know, they may not want you over because they're doing renovations, whatever. But go over, and this is what I do, okay? So I make the appointment. I say, look, I'm going to be in the area. Just stop by. I just want to drop. It won't take long. I just want to drop off a housewarming gift for you. And this is what I do. I give them this crock, this 2-gallon crock with their name on it, customized, made in America, sandblasted. Okay. This is my friends, the McDonald's. Okay. And then what I do is I tell people, take a business card and put a business card on the bottom, and you can write it off as a marketing expense. Okay. I'll tell you what these cost in a minute, but you write them off as a marketing expense. Okay. But the best part is this is made in America. Okay. It's made in New Hampshire. It ships in 3 to 5 working days, usually
Sooner.
less.
Yeah, much sooner.
Much sooner. But I always, as most people would know, especially in my pottery business, I under promise and over deliver. Okay. So 3 to 5 working days, you'll get this delivered to your house. Okay. Or to the office if you want. And then you pick it up. I like delivering it to the office, first of all, because then everybody there can see what I'm doing for closing gifts for my clients. But 2, all the packing peanuts and everything that they do, I don't want in my house. I go right to the dumpster and dump them all out in the dumpster. All right. And then I put in my car and I go and visit them. And what I do, and once you start doing business with them after a while and you become a repeat customer, let's say you've done 10 Crocs with them, you can tell them Dennis said that you want a Keller Williams logo label. And that says compliments of Dennis McDonald, Keller Williams Showcase Properties. So I actually put that right on the crock. So they have that. That's not going anywhere. So they'll remember who they got the crock from. They're going to remember anyway, but they will remember that. And I sometimes put a 10-inch plant in there, or if I know they drink wine, I give them a bottle of red and white wine. Or if they're barbecue people, I may fill it with barbecue or garden supplies or, seeds and a little hand stuff, something, fairly inexpensive just to do. So this is the company. Okay. It's called carvedcrocs.com. It's a company called All Signs out of New Hampshire. Okay. They're in Hillsborough, New Hampshire. And I'm going to see if I can bring this up for you real quick.
Dennis, I got to say, I think I talked to you after I ordered the first one. I was just blown away by the quality of this. It's solid, it's heavy, and just the craftsmanship was amazing.
Yeah, it's
worth it.
It is. And you know something? They're amazing people, and I love keeping American people employed. And these Crocs are made in America as well. And if you just Google carvedcrocs.com, okay, it'll come up. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say let's just choose something that nobody's going to choose. So let's just choose this motorcycle. Okay. The person's a motorcycle person. He's a Harley guy or a Harley gal. Okay. You have all these different choices to go with. Okay. And within those, you can then, this is a bigger image here, but you can use it as a utensil clock. You could do all different things. Okay. I have a lot of people use them as planters. Okay. So And then you can customize it. So now there's a 1 gallon crock, which is really small. It's not the greatest value. The best value is a 2 gallon crock, is what I showed you. And there's a 3 gallon crock, which is even bigger. Okay. They do have these lids available. Okay. But let's say the 2 gallon crock without a lid is $74.95. All right. If you use this code and write this code down, capital D, capital M, 10, you'll save $10 off, free shipping and no sales tax because it comes out of New Hampshire. And it'll ship right to your home, okay? And if you end up listing a house, I listed a house for somebody in Scituate, and they actually moved to Washington. I gave them one of these out in Washington. I had it delivered to Washington. Okay, so they'll deliver in the continental United States at no fee. Okay, but then you just put in whatever the top, welcome, whatever. Okay, the color you choose: black, burgundy, forest green, navy blue, and then the bottom line, whatever you say, it's how it's going to appear. Okay, and if you can't get all those letters in there, type in as much as you can, and then what will happen is at the very end, it's going to ask for any notes. And just put in there, I couldn't get all the wording in there. Please make it to the Andersons, okay? Because that's probably too many letters for there. Okay, they are super helpful, very, very helpful. This company does all the online crocks for all the catalog companies. They're #1 on Amazon. They're just a great, great company. So, and full disclosure, they do give me a percentage of the sale, okay? But it's a small percentage. I can't even put gas in my car. I just think about it, for $64, they're not giving me a lot of money. But I love promoting it, and I think it's great, and I get exclusive rights to all the real estate agents, whoever I do this to, whether coast to coast is my deal with them. So then you hit order, you fill out the information, and you can make it happen. All right? It's real simple. It's real easy. And believe me, once you do it once, you'll never go back to anything else because your customers will remember you by this. That's why I'm known as the pot guy or the crock guy, okay? And I'll tell you, I actually give them away whenever I hear in our office or even outside our office, if someone's doing an auction or a silent auction. These are great little gifts that you can give to somebody that's going to cost you maybe 65 bucks. Instead of giving a $100 donation to somebody, offer something like this and then give them your information to come back to and talk to them about it and get it. Deliver it to them in person, and then ask them if they know of anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Okay? I mean, use it to your advantage. And then also you can use it for any gift you want. You don't have to have it for real estate. You can do it for housewarming presents for other people that have bought homes. You can do it for Christmas presents or anniversaries or weddings. You can do just so much with it. Okay? But enough of my infomercial. Okay? But it's so much better than giving somebody a gift card or giving somebody a gift certificate to a hotel or a restaurant or all those things after the sale, because once it's done, it's done. It's forgotten. This is something that you bring after the fact. They'll remember you. And what you really should do is what I do. And I'm really terrible with social media, unlike my friend Steve, who's really awesome. I take pictures of everybody. And I swear one day I'm going to load it up on social media, but this is a client here. It's in Montana that I sent it to, that I listed her parents' house in Marshfield, and I sent it to them. And I asked them to take a picture. So inevitably, I'm going to put it on social media, okay? These are the people that I sent to Washington, and their kids did it. So it's fun. It really is fun. Everybody loves it. It's you'll be remembered by it. And don't forget to reference it from time to time. Hey, how's that crock doing? Don't forget to bring it in the wintertime. There's no drainage and it's going to break. Okay. All right. We're running close to the end. So now you're a problem solver. You know how to get good leads. Okay. You know everything there is to know about real estate now, don't you? Because tomorrow, the next, what is it, Friday, you're going to blast off?
Yes.
All right. So who has any questions for me? Oh, I think I see something here. Hold on. In the chat.
What is the blast off?
What is what?
The end of Ignite? The blast off, is that the
Yeah,
end of
that's-
Ignite?
Yep, that's the end of Ignite. That's going to be the next class. It's just going to give you the papal blessing to go out and make it happen.
Cool.
I have a question, Dennis, about your knob and tube thing, because I have that right now and I had never heard of it before. Was it difficult to resolve?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that. So I listed a home in Rockland and they had a crawl space. I didn't go down I don't go in attics and I don't go in crawl spaces, okay? I leave those.
I agree.
I leave those to the home inspector, okay? I don't want to see mold. I don't want to smell mold. I don't want to know anything about mold. I don't want to know about the wiring or anything like that. That's none of my business, to be honest with you, okay? That's the home inspector's job. Well, we got an offer for this house and it was a good offer. They get the home inspection, go to home inspection. We'll come to find out the home inspector identifies as knob and tubing. And the agent comes back to me and says, there's knob and tubing wiring here, and they think it's going to cost like $40,000 to repair this thing. I said, oh, really? Oh my gosh, did they get a quote? Well, no. I said, okay, well, let me talk to the sellers. So I talked to the sellers and he goes, oh yeah, no, I knew it had knob and tubing, Dennis. I got a quote here for 15 grand. I said, oh. I said, would you be willing to get it repaired prior to closing? No. I said, okay. Would you be willing to give them a $15,000 price reduction? No, I'll give them half. I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, before we even offer that, will you go back to the contractor and get the contractor to guarantee that he'll honor that $15,000 price? So he did. He went back to the contractor. The contractor said, yep, no, I'll give you the $15,000 price, no problem. We go back and say that we will do $7,500, and they came back and said, no, we want the full 15 grand. And we said, no, that's not going to happen. And so they walked away. The next home came in, so I put it back on the market. I indicated that there's knob and tubing, okay, in the listing, the revised listing. People came in and bought it. They were a contractor. The person was an electrical contractor. They didn't care about the knob and tubing. Didn't care one bit. They were going to update everything to 20 amp anyway. They didn't care. It never even became an issue or a problem. But I identified it. I made it clear. Okay. And that's how I resolved it. So I just made it clear to everybody that it's there. We didn't take a price reduction or anything. Actually, they went over asking because the house was priced really well. Okay. Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Yep. Great.
So now knob and tube wiring, I know what that is because my house had it when I bought it, but that's not something that's going to be covered under a home warranty? Okay.
No.
Okay. I
Typical
didn't think so.
Romex will be covered. That will not be covered. No.
I didn't think so. Yeah. Okay.
No. But you know something? If you're on that class tomorrow, ask Andrea.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Good question to ask her. I don't want to say no and come to find out that they revised it and said, oh yeah, no, we'll do all of it. They may not. There's certain things that they're not going to cover. Okay, because they're not going to replace something that's functioning. So if the
Okay, correct. Right.
tubing will function. It will function. Okay, and it does function. It's just a lot of insurance companies don't like it because it could be a fire hazard.
Right.
It could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be. Okay. But I got a nice little chat here. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Alina?
Laney.
Laney, okay.
Laney.
She received one of these as a wedding gift and she loved it. Then my husband broke it 8 years later and I almost asked him to move out, laugh out loud. I love that. So now you can print off that website and tuck it under his pillow. And subliminally, he can get you a new one for your anniversary. What do you think of that?
I like that idea. Although my birthday, he's still making up for my birthday, so maybe I'll save it for Christmas.
Okay, and you know something? Then don't even give him the discount code. Make him pay full price.
Right, full price for him.
Awesome. All right. So the bottom line is this is the day you get paid. The closing day is the day you get paid. Okay. Make sure that your green sheet is complete, your loop is complete. go through dot loop, identify the checklist of a closing checklist, because there's certain things that you need to put in there. You need to put in the MLS, sold MLS, make sure the listing agent indicates that that's been sold. Some of them are a little lackluster and they don't do it right away. Over communicate to them, say, hey, look, to finish up my paperwork and to get paid, I need to have an MLS sold. Can you please have that done for me, or have someone do it for me, please? I really enjoyed co-broking with you. I hope we can do it again soon, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And you put that in your MLS, in your dot loop, just as a PDF, just as one page. You don't have to put the gallery or anything else. And then you make sure you submit your loop for compliance to Tammy King. Okay. And that's all you do is hit submit to compliance. You don't have to put her name in there. That's who does it. Tammy King. She's actually in Rich Lannon's office. She's really great. She'll identify any issues that you have. Just do whatever she tells you to do. If you're missing something, go back to your seller or your agent and get them to sign it. Okay. Just get them to sign it. All right. And just get that loop compliant. All right. And make sure your green sheet is complete. So I do my green sheet as soon as I get a P&S signed. As soon as the P&S signed, I do a green sheet, because that triggers me to now do the commission statement. And it also fills in all the information that you need. And it tells Tammy and it tells Faye that, hey, you got a closing coming up. Okay. And if they need to release funds, because you're the listing agent, they need to know what that date is, because you can't call the morning of the closing and say, hey, Faye, I need a check for the co-broke. Okay. And I tell you, the best thing you can do, this is pre-COVID, all right, is if you know the agent's coming to the closing, the buyer's agent, go to the closing just to hand the buyer's agent a co-broke check. Okay. They love that. All right. I've dealt with some other agents that said their policy is that, oh, we have to mail you the check once we know that it's gone to record. And that takes 3 to 4 days, all these other things. So I can't get paid unless the brokerage gets paid. And if that's their policy, that's their policy. That's fine. But our policy is give them the money when they're due the money, and they'll love it. And who knows, you might have an opportunity to talk to them about why things are so great, why you love Keller Williams so much, because all the training that they do. They got this guy, Dennis, who's just unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And humble too. But most of all, you are going to get paid. And that's a fun day. Wouldn't you say, Mark? Wasn't that a great day?
Yeah, it was a good day.
It's a good day. It's a good day to get paid. Okay. And then you'll see that, if you broke it down by the hour, you might make more money working at Chick-fil-A, believe it or not, by the hour, depending on how many hours you actually work and function. And early on, you'll work a lot more hours than you do later on as you become more experienced, and you'll be able to manage your time better. But trust me, this is definitely the most profitable job that I've ever had. And the fact that I haven't been on an airplane in 3 years, because I wasn't getting paid when I was traveling all those times and being away from home from my family. I have no regrets, and I'll never shit on myself that I should have done this sooner, because I'm glad I did what I did, and I honed my sales skills to be able to do it in my past career. But I'll tell you, I love this. I absolutely love it. And if you can't see it on my expression or in my countenance, call me afterwards and say, what do I love so much about it? Or pick my brain. Feel free. I love talking about real estate. I really, really do. Let me just see any other notes that I have here. You want to make sure too at the closing, if you're not at the closing, you want to over communicate to both attorneys that you need a copy of the signed closing document. Okay. Some people call it an ALTA, A-L-T-A. Some people still call it a HUD, but it's called a closing document, and it needs to be signed. On your side in particular, as a buyer's agent, definitely has to be signed by the buyer, but see if you can get it signed by both the buyer and the seller. I think that's the official thing that you need done, and they all have copies of it, and they'll just send you a PDF. And they're going to correspond with you anyway when it goes to record. So usually when they correspond with you going to record, they usually attach, here's the signed closing documents for your records. Okay, but you need that, include that in your loop to make it complete. Okay. And then at the end, your extra paperwork after you cash your check, and this is what my wife and I do after every single closing, because you should celebrate, Okay, you should definitely celebrate because you don't get that many of them, believe it or not. Okay, unless you're Dakota Riley, who doesn't have time to celebrate. But but I celebrate my wife, and this is what we do. And this is TMI, too much information probably for some of you, but I don't care.
Keep it G-rated.
I promise it is. Pre-COVID, I would take my wife and we would get pedicures.
Oh, nice.
I love pedicures. Okay. I learned this. I have a wife and 3 daughters, and I've been married 35 years, and probably 8 years ago was the first time I ever got a pedicure, and it was in Florida. And I told all my friends, I'm like, oh my gosh, you women have been holding out on us. This is the best feeling in the world. They massage your legs. They do your toes. They do everything. I don't get my toes painted. Okay, unless it's a special occasion, but I don't get my toes painted. But I'll tell you, the massage that they give you on my calves and my feet, and oh my gosh, it's worth every penny. And my wife loves it too, so she always looks forward to a closing. She really does. So we both benefit together on this. Okay, not only in the financial side, but also the reward side. And as most people know, it's not a huge expense to do that, but it's something we both look forward to. And we really enjoy it. And you know something, and my daughters like the fact that I treat my wife to something like that I'm sure some of their past or present boyfriends are like, oh, pedicure, oh my gosh. They don't know what they're, would you say that's a thumbs up? Those that have had pedicures, thumbs up if you had pedicures.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best. Awesome. Okay.
Now we know what to get you for Christmas.
There you go. Feel free. Feel free.
Oh, that's what we send you for a thank you gift.
I'd love it. That would be, I'd remember you for that. That's for sure. So after the closing, okay, there is a little bit of paperwork that you want to do for yourself. Okay. One, you want to add your buyer or seller client's name to your contact database. If it's not already there, it should be, but if it's not, okay. Add any allied resources, the lenders, the closing companies, the inspectors, the attorneys, add them all to your database, okay? Add any business-to-business resource to your database. So anybody that gave you a quote, an electrician, a plumber, moving company, anything, add them to your database, okay? But what's most important, okay, and going back to the contract to close part, okay, is that you got to make sure, remember I listed all those things that you have to do. You want to put those in your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you use, Outlook or whatever, okay, to identify and remember and to keep track of all the events and the deadlines that's important for the contract to close, okay? Because if you miss a deadline, it's your responsibility to make sure that you get the commitment letter. It's to make sure that that your clients on the buyer side that has done the inspection by the inspection date, okay? Those are very, very, all the dates that you put into an offer or a purchase and sale agreement are critical that you hit those dates. It's your responsibility as a project manager. So take off the hat of being a real estate agent and put on the hat of being a project manager. And as I like to tell people, I love to help people. I just love helping people, and I get compensated for it. That's how I look at it. I literally get compensated for helping people. But the way you help people is to make sure that the transaction goes smoothly and effortlessly. And most of all, you get the referral, because when that happens, they're going to say, oh my, you got to call this guy, Dennis. I mean, he made it so smooth, so easy. We were moved out of our house and we didn't even know we sold our house. It was that smooth and that simple. Okay. So Marie has asked me for my number. Marie, you may not have heard, but I've been married 35 years. So, but I'll be happy to give you my contact information. How's that?
Well, I
I'm
offer
gonna
you.
send this in the chat so you guys can all have it. I'm actually going to send it to everybody. Is that okay?
Yes.
Did you record this class?
It is recorded, yes. And it's going over 3 hours, but let me just do this for you now, okay? So it's Dennis McDonald. Whoops. I hit enter, sorry. All right, so here's my email. So it's Dennis McDonald at kw.com. And my cell phone number is the only number I have, is 781-929. 6342. Call me anytime with any questions on real estate or Crocs. What a crock.
Dennis, sorry, this is Elaine. Just one question as you're giving out your number and something I'm sort of wondering about. You know, we get, everybody gets a ton of robocalls and just, do you answer every single call? Because, you know, you don't want to miss an opportunity either. How do you handle that?
They'll go to voicemail. Let them go to voicemail. I'll pick it up right away. If I don't know the number, I don't pick it up. I really don't. If they're not in my contact database and they're not in my phone, then they're not. I mean, they could be a potential listing and they'll say, hey, you know, Elaine told me to give you a call because I want to list my house and she's not in that neighborhood or whatever. I'll call them right back immediately. You listen to that voicemail as soon as you get it and call them back right away and explain to them, say, I'm sorry, but I get so many calls. I can't pick up every call, but I got your message and I'd love to talk to you further. Can we set up an appointment? Okay. But here's the best part. And I skipped over this. This here is your database. Okay. If you say, I don't know who to call, I don't know what to call, whatever. If everybody takes up their phone and they go to their contact list and they identify, if they go to the bottom of their contact list, which is Z or pound, okay? I have, you may or may not be able to see that. I have 2012 contacts in my phone. Some are duplicates, okay? Let's say half of them are. I've got over 1,000 contacts in my phone, okay? Some are Malaysian pottery suppliers, okay? Some are Chinese pottery suppliers. Some are Italian pottery suppliers. Some are pottery people. But you know something? We can refer agents over in China, the Philippines, Malaysia. And if you have a relationship and rapport with half of those, if I have a relationship rapport with half of those people, I've got plenty of people to call. I don't need to do cold calls. I don't need to do all those things, okay? Not everybody has as many contacts as me, and I'm not doing that to show off. I'm just telling you that that's your database. That's who you call. And if you get bored and say, you know, who should I call? I don't know who to call. Start from Z and work your way up. Start from Z and work your way up. And next thing you know, you're talking to just about everybody in your database. And all you're doing is just doing a care call. Hey, how are you guys doing with this whole COVID thing? And try to avoid politics, try to avoid religion, try to avoid all these things, and just get them to talk a little bit about themselves. But most of all, because you really do want to care about what they think, is you want it to turn around on you, and you want them to ask you, so what have you been doing, Dennis? And then you have the opportunity to tell them everything and anything about you. And keep me in mind, hey, do you mind? I just want to update everything. I don't think I have your current email address. I know you used to work for ABC Pottery Company years ago, but I noticed on LinkedIn you're not there anymore. What's your personal email? Can I send you my app? Because you can actually, I know you live in Southern California, you can actually look up properties anywhere you want. And if that's helpful to you, great, share it with somebody else. And if you know of anybody looking to move back east, let me know, because I'd love to help them out. So just utilize the fact and just let them know that you've got your own real estate business through Keller Williams. And people are fascinated by that. They really are. They're fascinated, okay? And the first thing they're gonna say is, so how's it going? And you can be honest with them. It could always be better, but I'll tell you right now, it's going pretty good. But it could be better if you know somebody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So keep me top of mind if you know of anybody.
I have to say, when you did Ignite before, you said, I've started my own business with Keller Williams. I stole that. And as far
Nope. I started my own real estate business.
Well, yeah, the whole thing. But I just mean some of the sayings that you told us that day, and you said we could use them. Just like you said, you know, well, how's it going? Well, it could be better. You know, I use that, as well as every time I leave my house, I have my name tag in the car, and it's right on my steering wheel. and I put it on when I get in the car, and it doesn't, I haven't had anybody ask me yet, but I always make sure to grab a couple of my business cards and throw them in my pocket.
Have them available. You got it. Even better, tell them, you know something? I gave my last business card away and they never gave it back. So let me just share my app with you. Okay?
Oh,
Let me share my
okay.
app with you. And now you have their contact information because now you have their cell phone number. Okay? And you're sharing your app. And this is better than my business card. Because if you see any properties that you like, or you can share this with any of your clients or any of your friends or relatives, and they see anything, they can text me right away and I can identify a property for them.
See, another good tip.
Hey, look at that.
You're
I'm not-
full of
I'm
them.
just, as I told my wife 35 years ago, I'm just not all good looks, you know, honey. I got a brain under this hair piece. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions for me? I got to go sell some real estate.
Me too.
Thank you, Dennis.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for attending. I really hope you got something out of it today. And don't be ashamed to pick up on some other classes if you don't feel like you've got the most out of this class or any other Ignite classes. This is the best value for your buck. I'll tell you. If you can get this part down, you will have a hugely successful real estate business. Mark my words, okay? Great.
Thank you, Dennis.
You
Great
guys
job.
enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Thank you. Have a
Be
great
successful.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for all the questions. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.